Chapter 1263. In the living room of the villa, a merman walked in from outside. He had a crown on his head and a scepter in his hand. He wore a dragon robe and exuded the aura of an emperor. He was noble, aloof, and indescribably noble. This was the king of the merfolk, a divine-tier pinnacle powerhouse, the merfolk king. Once upon a time, he was the strongest person in the cloud realm. He was the ruler of an entire clan. Xiaoping could only look up to him, but now he was nothing more than this. Mermaid King, what business do you have with me? Xiaoping went straight to the point without beating around the bush. Mr. Xia, you are indeed straightforward. Actually, I have no other important business here. I just want to ask about my daughter, Yuchichi. The Mermaid King said in a low voice. Yuchichi? Xiaoping raised his eyebrows and looked at the Mermaid King. She's missing. No matter how hard I try, I can't find her. Actually, it's not just her. The humans Chu Rong and Jiang Yaru also disappeared with her. A pained expression appeared on the Mermaid King's face. What's going on? Xiaoping frowned. When he returned to the cloud world, he also discovered that Jiang Yaru and the others were missing. However, the maidservants in the villa said that they had gone on an adventure and hadn't returned yet. Therefore, he didn't think too much about it. He thought that they would be back soon, but now the Mermaid King said that they were missing and that they might have met with misfortune. The three of them teamed up to search for a relic left behind by the true dragon in this world. The true dragon nest. The Mermaid King said in a deep voice, I didn't pay much attention to it at first, because it was just a legend. Over the countless years, countless sea tribes have set out to search for it, but they all returned empty-handed. But I didn't expect that the three of them would disappear without a trace. They still haven't returned, so this king feels that they're either trapped somewhere or dead. It couldn't help but clench its fists because it couldn't believe that its daughter had died just like that. Where did they disappear? Xiaoping asked. It is near the legendary True Dragon Lair. My clan has a map of the True Dragon Lair. The Mermaid King quickly took out a map. Perhaps this is where they disappeared. Previously, I had sent people to search that place, and even this king personally went to investigate, but to no avail. Perhaps it's because this king's strength is too low to see what's going on, so I hope that Mr. Xia can help me and go to that place to check it out. It stated the purpose of its visit. No problem, I'll go take a look. Xiaoping took the map and looked at it carefully. He found that it was a very remote sea. Thank you, Mr. Xia. Thank you for your help. The Mermaid King was moved to tears. Xiaoping waved his hand. It's okay. They're also my friends. Even if he didn't say anything, I would have gone to find them. The Mermaid King was relieved to hear this. If Xiaoping, the strongest expert in the cloud realm, took action, perhaps his daughter would be found. If even Xiaoping couldn't find him, then he had no other choice but to give up. A day later, the stars tore through space and arrived at the sea region where the true dragon nest was located. With a swish, Xiaoping emerged from Myriad Star and stowed it into his space ring. He stood in the air and observed the sea realm from above. Is this where the true dragon nest is? Why does it look no different from other seas? Xiaoping looked around and found that he was surrounded by a boundless sea. There were only a few isolated islands scattered all around. No matter how he looked at it, it did not look like a place where the true dragon nest was located. However, according to the information, Yuchichi, Chu Rong, and Jiang Yaru had disappeared in this place. Could there be a folded space here? Jiang Yaru and the others accidentally touched a spatial node and disappeared from this place, Xiaoping guessed. This was Corinne's guess. He was very knowledgeable and knew about many secret places in the universe. If there really was a true dragon nest, then it might be hidden in a certain spatial node, which was equivalent to a secret realm. However, this spatial node was too well hidden. Without enough luck, it was impossible to find it. Therefore, countless sea monsters had returned empty-handed after countless years. Therefore, he came to find Jiang Yaru and the others this time, not only to bring them home safely, but also to find the true dragon nest. After all, this was the place where the legendary true dragon resided. There must be a lot of treasures inside. Luck? With the golden infernal crow's eye, the so-called spatial node is nothing. Xiaoping was full of confidence. Having advanced to the mid-stage of divine tier, his golden infernal crows, I had also evolved. He now had the ability to see through the void, and his chances of finding the spatial node were much higher than others. Golden infernal crow's eye. With a boom, Xiaoping immediately opened his eyes. A golden sun slowly rotated in the depths of his pupils, and he immediately felt that the entire world had changed greatly. This world had become a three-dimensional world, and there were many three-dimensional lines in the surroundings. When they were drawn together, they formed a real space. Unbelievable. Xiaoping sighed. He felt that his understanding of the world had deepened, as if he had peeped into the depths of the universe's mysteries. This was of great benefit to his martial cultivation. Is this the place? After who knew how long, Xiaoping kept searching the surrounding space. Just as the golden infernal crows I was about to run out of power, he suddenly discovered a tiny black dot on the surface of the sea. Moreover, this black dot was constantly moving and was not fixed. This spatial node can actually move. That's crazy. No wonder no one could find it. Xiaoping revealed a look of understanding. Just finding a spatial node was already an extremely difficult task for someone who did not have the ability to see through the void. Moreover, the spatial node was moving irregularly, so it would be a miracle if one could find it. One really had to rely on pure luck to remove the spatial node. Could it be that Jiang Yaru and the others were so lucky that they accidentally came across the spatial node and were sucked into the depths of the true dragon nest? Xiaoping did not know, but he could go in and take a look. Even if the true dragon nest might be filled with great danger, he had the stars with him, so he had nothing to fear. Let's go in. Thinking of that, Xiaoping did not hesitate. He quickly flew closer to the black node, and the power of his divine sense permeated it. Rumble. Chapter 1264. This is the true dragon nest. After a moment of dizziness, Xiaoping felt that his feet were firmly on the ground. He looked around and found himself in a dense forest. Towering trees grew all around him. Each tree was at least 100 meters tall and seemed to have lived for a long time. There was a wild aura around them. At the same time, the heaven-earth yuan qi here was more than 10 times thicker than in the cloud realm. It even contained a large amount of active energy, which seemed to be very suitable for cultivation. That's right. This place should be the legendary true dragon nest, Corinne said in a low voice. I just used the detection system to check the surrounding environment and found that this place is a huge piece of land. It's a bit bigger than the cloud realm. It's equivalent to a secret realm. The detection system on its body could detect a very wide range. At full power, it could even explore for dozens of light years. Exploring a small piece of land was nothing. Even so, this place was extremely shocking. Its area was even bigger than the cloud realm. It was equivalent to another large world. Was this the so-called true dragon nest? Using a huge piece of land as a true dragon nest. If that was the case, then this true dragon was quite amazing. How do we leave this place? Xiaoping suddenly thought of this problem. He found that the spatial node that allowed him to enter the true dragon nest had disappeared. He had no idea where it had moved to. If he couldn't leave this space, wouldn't he have to stay in this place forever? Don't worry. The stars have already recorded the spatial location of the cloud realm. We can activate it at any time and quickly return to the cloud realm, Corinne said proudly. This was the terror of a Saint-grade spaceship. As long as the spatial location of every place was recorded, as long as that place was not blocked by a powerful spatial barrier, they could teleport there at any time. They couldn't enter the true dragon nest before because they didn't have the spatial location of this place. Now that they had arrived, the stars had recorded the spatial information of this place. It could leave at any time and enter from any other place at any time. That's good. Xiaoping was very satisfied. As long as they could leave this place at any time, then he could slowly explore the secrets of this space. But where are Jiang Yaru and the others? Xiaoping rubbed his chin. Because this spatial node was constantly moving, no one knew where it would appear next. That was why he and Jiang Yaru had entered from different places. Now that he had appeared in this forest, It was very likely that Jiang Yaru and the others were on the other side of this continent. For the time being, he didn't have any clues about their whereabouts. Rumble. Just at that moment, a series of intense tremors came from the distance, as if an earthquake was shaking the mountains. Ferocious beasts trampled on the ground in a radius of several dozen kilometers, causing the ground to tremble and rumble. Trees seemed to collapse rapidly from afar, as if they were destroyed by a powerful force. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In the next second, 20 or 30 men appeared in front of Xia Ping. They wore animal skins and held long spears in their hands. Their faces were coarse and wild, and their bodies were strong and muscular. They had six-pack abs, and their muscles were well-defined. These men were like savages, exuding a terrifying wildness from head to toe. Their bodies were filled with powerful blood energy. In terms of physical fitness, they were stronger than the humans of the Cloud Realm. No, they were even stronger than the Demon Clan and Sea Clan. Moreover, their strength was at least at the Purple Mansion Realm, and 2 or 3 of them were Fulfillment Realm cultivators. But now, these natives were fleeing in panic. They didn't know where they were going because they were being chased by a wild boar the size of a small mountain. This wild boar wasn't simple either. It was 20 or 30 meters tall, and its entire body was black. Its hair stood up like steel needles, and its muscles were as thick as a city wall. Even a missile wouldn't be able to damage this wild boar's skin at all. At the same time, the blood energy emitted from its body was extremely terrifying, almost overflowing like the sun. It felt as if one would be roasted by the hot blood energy if they got close. Without a doubt, it was also very powerful and had reached the peak of the Fulfillment Realm. With its terrifying physical fitness, it could even crush humans of the same level. As it charged forward, trees were sent flying like tofu, and rocks were quickly crushed into powder. Soon, the group of savages seemed to see Xia Ping in front of them. They were instantly shocked. They didn't expect to see someone in this desolate forest. Brother, run. This is a barbarian dragon boar. It's invulnerable and bloodthirsty. Don't just stand there and run. When it goes berserk, everything will be crushed. The group of savages shouted at Xia Ping, trying to warn him. They looked very anxious. Universe Common Language? Xia Ping raised his brows. He originally thought that he wouldn't understand what these savages were saying. He didn't expect them to understand the Universe Common Language, so he immediately understood what they meant. However, he didn't move. This wild boar might be very powerful to these savages, but it was nothing to him. There was no need to run. It can't be, right? Is this kid crazy? Why is he still standing here like a fool? He's probably scared out of his wits. Even courageous people would be scared out of their wits when they encounter a barbarian dragon boar. It's not surprising that he's acting like this. What should we do? Should we save his life? How? We can't even protect ourselves. If we're too late, we'll become food for the barbarian dragon boar. That's right. We can only pray for ourselves. We can't save him. The group of savages all shook their heads in pity. They strode forward at an extremely fast speed, like a gust of wind as they ran past Xia Ping. They didn't dare to stop at all. This was because the barbarian dragon boar in front of them was too berserk. It was like a tank that had gone out of control. If they dared to stop, they would definitely be crushed into meat paste. Roar! The barbarian dragon boar let out a roar that shook the heavens and earth. It couldn't even see a tiny dot like Xia Ping. Its mountain-like body directly charged over, wanting to completely crush these tiny dots that had angered it. It's over. This kid is dead for sure. The group of savages couldn't bear to see this kid die. If he touched this barbarian dragon boar, he would probably be crushed into meat paste in an instant. Dong. Chapter 1265. What? The barbarians thought that they would be able to see the person in front of them being smashed into a meat patty, but when the barbarian dragon boar charged forward, it was as if it had crashed into an iron wall. With a bang, the kid in front of it didn't move at all. He was like a towering mountain that couldn't be shaken by any force. His small body contained terrifying power. Meanwhile, the hill-sized barbarian dragon boar came to a halt like a heavy truck that had lost control. The barbarian dragon boar seemed to be a little shocked. Its huge nose spewed out large amounts of hot air, and its four-hooves stomped on the ground, creating cracks. It seemed to be angered by Xia Ping's actions. Xia Ping was just a little kid, and yet he dared to stop it. He was simply courting death. Roar! The barbarian dragon boar roared again, and the majestic blood energy on its body vibrated. Ripples formed in the air and swept in all directions, sending trees flying and shattering. The barbarians couldn't withstand the power of the roar, and they couldn't help but cover their ears. If they were a step slower, they were afraid that their eardrums would be ruptured. Even so, they couldn't withstand the impact of the roar, and they were all sent flying hundreds of meters away. They slid across the ground, and dozens of cracks appeared on the ground. Noisy, Xiaoping looked at the barbarian dragon boar indifferently, and he suddenly reached out and punched forward. A powerful force surged out of his body. It was an unstoppable force, and it contained a terrifying, spiraling, penetrative force. It smashed into the barbarian dragon boar's body. Dong, in the next second, the barbarian dragon boar let out a shrill cry. Its huge body was penetrated by the punch, and a large amount of blood spurted out like it was free, splattering all over the ground. Its body was immediately split in half, and it turned into a pile of minced meat. Oh my God! He killed it with a single punch? One of the barbarians was dumbfounded. He rubbed his eyes as if he couldn't believe it at all. One had to know that this was the famous barbarian dragon boar, a ferocious beast that ran amok in the savage forest. Once it appeared, countless people would die, and it could be said to be a moving natural disaster. Moreover, the barbarian dragon boar skin was extremely hard, even harder than armor forged from steel. It was impervious to swords and spears. Even if they used a great deal of strength, they would not be able to pierce through the barbarian dragon boar's skin. However, with just a single punch, the barbarian dragon pig body had been pierced through like tofu. This scene was simply too terrifying, and it was no wonder that they couldn't believe it. King-level expert. He must be a king-level expert. A barbarian shouted. He looked at Xia Ping fervently, as though he was looking at his idol. King-level warrior? Hearing this, the surrounding savages all came to a sudden realization. If the other party was a king-class powerhouse, then killing a barbarian dragon pig would indeed be a piece of cake. For a moment, they looked at Xia Ping with reverence. King-level warrior? Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. Did this mysterious continent have its own unique ranking system? Who knew what kind of experts there were on this continent? An hour later, in an open space in the forest, a huge wild boar was propped up. Wood was piled under it, and a raging fire was burning as it was being barbecued. Suddenly, a rich aroma wafted out, stirring everyone's appetite. The surrounding savages were all salivating. Evidently, they had been stimulated by the delicacy in front of them. After all, a delicacy like the barbarian dragon pig was simply a high-grade ingredient. It wasn't something that could be eaten so easily. Xia, one of the savages, said to Xia Ping gratefully, "Thank you for treating us to a barbarian dragon pig. Thank you so much. From now on, you'll be a friend of the Bailey clan." He patted his chest in a very forthright manner. After a series of exchanges, Xia Ping learned that this group of savages came from the Bailey clan, which was located in a nearby human city. The Bailey clan was considered a powerful human clan within a radius of 10,000 kilometers, with a population of more than 1 million. This person was an important elder of the Bailey clan, and his name was Bailey Guang. The rest of the people were also soldiers of the Bailey clan. This time, they had come out to hunt the wild beasts of the barbaric forest as food for the clan. However, they hadn't expected to provoke the tyrant of the forest, the barbarian dragon pig, causing them to suffer heavy casualties. They had to risk their lives to escape from the barbarian dragon pig's frenzied pursuit. Fortunately, they had met Xia Ping. Otherwise, they didn't know how many of them would have died. As for the classification of this mystic realm, Xia Ping had learned about it through listening to them. Those below the Master Realm were all at the Mortal class, while those at the Purple Mansion Realm were at the Soldier class, which was equivalent to elite soldiers and squad captains. Those at the Fulfillment Realm were at the Marquis class, which allowed them to become a feudal lord or the patriarch of a great clan. Those at the divine ability realm were at the king class, which allowed them to become the ruler of a city and rule over a radius of 10,000 kilometers. In this world, the strongest martial artist was at the thearch class, which was equivalent to a treasure refinement realm cultivator. Such a martial artist could rule over an empire, and their authority and power would be terrifying. However, the number of thearch class martial artists was simply too few, so few that they had never seen one before. You're welcome. It was just a small effort. It seems to be almost done. Stop talking nonsense and eat quickly. Xiaoping waved his hand, indicating that there was no need to be polite. He didn't want to continue being polite. Seeing that the barbarian dragon pig was almost done, he urged the people around him to eat. Hearing this, the eyes of Bailey Guang and the others lit up. They couldn't wait any longer. They immediately took out a small knife, cut off a piece, and swallowed it just like that. Immediately, they cried out loudly, and their bodies seemed to emit a red light. A scorching heat burst out from their bodies, as though they had become a furnace. At the same time, their blood chi became much stronger. It was obvious that eating the meat of the barbarian dragon pig was extremely beneficial to them. And, seeing this, Xiaoping didn't hesitate. He tore off a piece and swallowed it. When the meat entered his stomach, he immediately felt a scorching energy rising from his stomach. At the same time, this energy was converted into a large amount of magic power, which flowed into his limbs and bones, strengthening his blood chi. Such a dense blood chi, such a majestic energy. Xiaoping was shocked. He had eaten all kinds of food, but this was the first time he had eaten meat that contained such a dense blood chi. He had only eaten one piece, but he felt his body heat up. If this world was filled with ferocious beasts like this, then it wasn't impossible for the humans of this world to become so strong, and their cultivation to become so terrifying. Xiaoping, the meat of this barbarian dragon pig contains a trace of dragon blood. Although it's very thin, it's definitely there. That's why it has such terrifying blood chi energy. Chapter 1266. A trace of dragon blood. Xiaoping raised his eyebrows and continued to listen to Corinne without interrupting. The reason why this wild boar is so terrifying, far surpassing ordinary savage beasts, is because it contains a trace of dragon blood in its body, causing its body to mutate, making its attack and defense extremely powerful, Corinne said solemnly. Because of this, the blood and chi in its body are vigorous and contains majestic energy, making it more powerful and unfathomable than ordinary merfolk and demons. If one takes such flesh and blood for a long time, it will strengthen and refine the human body, making them even more powerful, so the bodies of these savages are all terrifyingly tough. It seems that there really was a true dragon in this place. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a savage beast with dragon blood so casually appearing here. There must be a big secret here. But there's still too little information about this world. We need to search further. There was a hint of fanaticism in its tone, clearly becoming more and more curious about this place. Is that so? Looks like the flesh and blood of this barbarian dragon boar is really beneficial to humans. Xiaoping immediately felt relieved. He continuously used a knife to cut off pieces of meat and ate them while munching on them. A huge amount of blood and chi wandered in his body, flowing into his limbs and bones. Even his magic power increased a little, as if he was evolving toward the late stage of divine power realm. This brought Xiaoping a lot of benefits. After asking in detail, he finally understood some information about this continent. First of all, this continent was called the Dragon God Continent. There were countless savage beasts like the barbarian dragon boar on the Dragon God Continent. They occupied half of the continent, and there were also many savage beasts that were as powerful as natural disasters. Apart from that, the intelligent beings on this continent were not only humans, but also a tyrannical race called the Dragonborn. It was said that this race also had a trace of true dragon blood and were Dragonborn. They were born with great strength, speed, recovery, and cultivation speed. They were simply natural warriors. The strength of the Dragonborn far surpassed that of humans of the same level. However, this race was cruel and innately hostile to humans. Both sides often fought each other, but in terms of overall strength, humans were still suppressed and not a match for the Dragonborn. It could be said that the Dragonborn were the true overlords of this dragon god continent, with a population of 10 billion and a large territory. Dragon-human race. Xiaoping's eyes flickered. Another race with dragon blood. However, aside from humans, all other creatures on this continent more or less had dragon blood. This also caused the creatures on this continent to be extremely powerful, far surpassing the life forms of other places. Corinne, could it be that true dragons really once lived on this continent, so it gave birth to so many creatures with dragon blood? Xiaoping curiously asked. Corinne thought for a bit and said, Dragon race is also considered as one of the peak races in the universe. They are very powerful, but in order to ensure the purity of their bloodline, they basically do not marry other races. For so many creatures with dragon blood to appear, I'm sure it has something to do with the true dragon. This place is probably not as simple as the true dragon's lair. Xiaoping rubbed his chin. He thought about it, but he couldn't figure out what secrets this continent had. However, he didn't need to pay attention to this for now. He believed that if he continued to investigate, he would definitely find out the truth. Thinking up to there, he continued to eat the barbarian dragon pig. Because the meat was quite beneficial to him, he ate as much as he could, and it didn't take long for him to finish half a pig. Oh my God, this is too shocking. He actually ate half a barbarian dragon pig. One of the savages was dumbfounded. This barbarian dragon pig was 30 meters tall, like a small mountain. Devouring half a barbarian dragon pig, one could imagine how astonishing his appetite was. If it was a village, this pig could eat for a month, but now Xiaoping alone ate the food of the entire village for half a month. It was too scary. More importantly, the barbarian dragon pig's meat contained a large amount of blood energy. If an ordinary person ate a small piece, their stomach would explode, and their body wouldn't be able to digest it. If they forced themselves to eat it, their body would probably explode from the energy, and they would bleed from their 7 orifices. They had only eaten 1 or 2 pieces of meat, and they were already stuffed to the point of bursting. Even if they wanted to continue eating, it was impossible. But now, after eating half a barbarian dragon pig, he seemed to be fine. They couldn't help but be shocked. As expected of a king stage powerhouse, his appetite is too shocking. Look at his stomach. It's not even bloated. I reckon that as soon as he ate it, it was quickly digested into blood energy. One can imagine his digestive ability. This is unprecedented. Is this the appetite of a king stage powerhouse? He looks like a rice bucket. I've learned something new today. Isn't he a rice bucket? He ate half a month's worth of food in one meal. This is too scary. Who can afford to feed him? Who needs you to feed him? He's a king stage powerhouse. Just a few savage beasts are enough for him to eat. Bailey Guang and the others were full of admiration. In their eyes, a large appetite represented strength. There was no doubt that Xiaoping was one of the strongest king stage powerhouses. Rice bucket. Xiaoping's mouth twitched when he heard these words of praise. He couldn't bring himself to be happy about this kind of praise. Why did it sound like he was cursing? Suddenly, Xiaoping frowned. His divine sense covered a radius of 50 kilometers, and he immediately sensed many uninvited guests flying in his direction. Whoosh, whoosh. Soon, 40 to 50 figures appeared in the surroundings, surrounding the area in an instant. Killing intent. Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. He realized that the figures surrounding him were all humanoid. They were tall, and each of them was more than 2 meters tall. However, the most peculiar thing about them was that they had 2 dragon horns on their heads. Their arms were covered in dense dragon scales, and sharp claws appeared on their hands. Their bodies exuded a powerful aura that seemed to contain the might of a dragon. Most importantly, these creatures clearly exuded a strong, killing intent. They were definitely enemies. Damn it, the dragon men. Why are they here? Bailey Guang and the others' faces darkened when they saw the dragon men appear. It was as if they were facing a great enemy. To them, Encountering the dragon men in the wild was a great danger. It was no different from encountering a disaster-like beast. This was because when two great races met in the wild, they would fight to the death. This is the Dragon Men, Chapter 1267. Humans. I was wondering who killed a barbarian dragon pig. I didn't expect it to be a lowly human. One of the Dragonians chuckled and looked at Xia Ping and the others unkindly. Haha, looks like we're in luck today. Not only did we get half a barbarian dragon pig, but we also killed many humans. This is a great achievement. Humans, it's your bad luck to meet us. Kill yourselves now. It's better than dying later. Yes, kill yourselves now. I don't want to dirty my hands by killing you. The group of Dragonians shouted and told Xia Ping and the others to kill themselves. They looked at Xia Ping and the others as if they were livestock waiting to be slaughtered. They did not take them seriously at all, especially when they had 3 king-level experts with them. They would definitely be able to defeat them. Damn it, we're so unlucky. Why do we meet the Dragonians? And they even have 3 king-level experts. Surrendering is impossible. We can only fight them. Yes, even if we die, we'll make them lose a mouthful of teeth. Bailey Guang and the others gritted their teeth. They were all in despair when they met the Dragonians. They thought that they were doomed this time. There was no way they could escape from the Dragonians. But even so, they had no intention of surrendering. They would only die fighting here. They clenched their fists so hard that their veins popped. They planned to drag a few Dragonians down with them before they died. Oh, these bastard humans still want to resist. A king-level yellow-robed Dragonian had a ferocious look on his face. He clenched his fists, and a cruel look appeared in his eyes. Even ants want to live, let alone humans. If we don't let them struggle, how can we let these stupid humans feel how useless and powerless they are? A king-level Dragonian in golden armor said arrogantly. He did not take these people seriously at all. We were just passing by. We suddenly smelled a fragrance and came here. It's their bad luck to meet us Dragonians. This is fate. No one can blame anyone else. The remaining king-level Dragonian in a black robe laughed cruelly. He exuded a sinister aura. Humph, these bastard humans are an eyesore. I'll go and kill them now. The king-level yellow-robed Dragonian sneered. He wanted to kill these humans instantly. Whoosh! Just at this moment, a figure swept past them, bringing with it a strong gust of wind. Bailey Guang and the others all widened their eyes in shock as they watched Xia Ping kill his way past them. It's Xia. Xia, don't be rash. Wait for us. They have more people. Don't throw your life away. We'll help you. Bailey Guang and the others immediately shouted anxiously. They knew that Xia Ping was very powerful and was at least a king-class expert. However, the opposing dragon people also had king realm experts, and there were 3 of them. In addition, there were 10 Marquis realm experts and dozens of soldier realm experts. The other party had the advantage in numbers. As the saying went, 2 fists were no match for 4 hands. Furthermore, Dragonians were much stronger than humans at the same level. Be it strength, speed, or combat techniques, they were far inferior to the Dragonians. Just 1 Dragonman King was enough, and now there were 3 more. The other party had an overwhelming advantage. No matter how powerful Xia Ping was, he was no match for them. Draconians? They only have a trace of dragon blood. It's nothing. Hearing the words of Bailey Guang and the others, Xia Ping didn't care and charged forward. With his current strength, he wouldn't be afraid even if he faced a baby true dragon. Moreover, these Dragonians only had a trace of true dragon blood and were nothing to worry about. Be careful. There are humans charging forward. What a fool. He dares to charge forward even when facing 3 of us. Is he courting death? He's probably scared out of his wits and wants to die together with us. What a fool. I'm standing here and not moving. He can't even break my defense, and he wants to die together with us. Kill him and send this foolish human to the next world. The group of Dragonians laughed coldly. They looked at Xia Ping as if they were looking at a fool. Immediately, the 3 Dragonians made their move and attacked Xia Ping. Kill. The moment he got close to the group of Dragonians, Xia Ping's strength exploded. Martial path mystique, lightning fist. Once he used a lightning fist, every inch of his muscles seemed to contain the power of lightning. Every cell seemed to contain violent energy, like a lightning dragon. So fast, the white-robed Dragonian king was shocked and terrified. This was because Xia Ping's fist was simply too fast. It was like a bolt of lightning, and he couldn't react at all. Moreover, this fist contained extremely destructive power of lightning, like a lightning spear. As Dragonians, they had scales on their bodies, and their defense was no weaker than that of ordinary beasts. This was also their greatest advantage when fighting against humans. Ordinary power couldn't break through their defense. Once a human couldn't break through their defense, they could kill the human with a punch. However, this fist was different. Its destructive power was terrifying. With a boom, this fist instantly pierced through his abdomen, and he died on the spot. Damn, what kind of fist technique is this? It's too fast, and it seems to contain the power of lightning. The remaining 2 Dragonian kings were stunned. In just an instant, one of their companions had been killed by this human. His abdomen was instantly pierced through, and he couldn't even struggle. They had never heard of such a powerful attack, and they were stunned on the spot. Die. Xia Ping didn't care whether these 2 Dragonians were in a daze or not. In the process of a life-and-death battle, a single mistake would mean death. His power suddenly burst out, and he punched again. Whoosh! This punch was like an electric drill, containing the power of spirals and lightning. It was extremely terrifying, and its destructive power was shocking. Oh no! The 2 Draconian kings shouted. They immediately circulated the magic power in their bodies, and at the critical moment, a layer of golden energy barrier appeared around them. There seemed to be true dragon runes circulating around it, and it contained an extremely strong defensive power. But it was useless. Boom! This layer of defense shield was easily pierced through by this punch like tofu. The tyrannical power penetrated through, and the bodies of the 2 Dragonian kings were ruthlessly smashed. The 2 Dragonian kings immediately let out shrill screams, and their bodies were smashed into pieces by this punch. Blood sprayed on the ground as if it was free, and they died on the spot. My God, he killed 3 Dragonian kings with 2 punches? Bailey Guang and the others were completely dumbfounded. They wanted to go forward and help, but before they could even get close, the 3 arrogant Dragonian kings were beaten to death by Xia Ping. They couldn't even struggle against the poison. Chapter 1268. It's over. What kind of fist technique is this? This human is too terrifying. He's not an ordinary king. Run. Run quickly and report to the king immediately. Seeing this, the remaining Dragonians panicked and wanted to escape. But could they? Martial arts of magical power. Great yin-yang tablet-breaking hand. Xia Ping stood where he was and stretched out a huge hand, covering the remaining Dragonians. Immediately, the yin and yang currents gathered into a huge hand, crushing down from the sky like a millstone. At the same time, a terrifying suction force was generated, sucking all the Dragonians in. In the next second, the group of Dragonians was crushed by a huge black and white hand. The void shook, and the air seemed to tremble thousands of times. It was extremely destructive. Boom! The group of Dragonians was immediately smashed into a pile of meat paste, and they could not even beg for mercy. Xia, too strong, really too strong. What kind of martial arts is this? 3 Dragonian kings were killed by you with 2 punches. Dozens of Dragonians, including many marquee-level experts, were smashed into meat paste with 1 palm. I reckon that even the city lord of our 100-mile city and the various lord commanders are no better than him. Bailey Guang and the others came forward, looking at Xia Ping with great excitement and admiration. They had never seen such a powerful human king. This was the first time. Not only were they excited for their own survival, but they were also excited that the human race had produced such a terrifying king. One had to know that Dragonian kings could crush human kings at the same level. It had always been humans fighting with numbers, never with numbers. But now, the situation was reversed. What is this? Xiaoping scanned them with his divine sense and immediately found 3 bags on the bodies of the 3 draconian kings. He grabbed them with his large hand and flipped through the contents. He immediately found 3 red crystals that contained dense energy and even traces of dragon might. Dragon crystals! Bailey Guang saw the red crystals and immediately shouted, "Xia, you've really struck it rich. You actually found 3 dragon crystals. These are priceless treasures." Dragon crystals? Xiaoping asked curiously and found that dragon crystals were unique to this continent. They contained dragon blood, which was extremely beneficial to the human body. If one could swallow them, not only could they refine their body, but they could also help improve their martial arts realm. However, such dragon crystals were rare. Ordinary people had never seen them before. Only king-level experts were qualified to have them. It was said that such a dragon crystal could be exchanged for an ordinary city on the Dragon God continent. Not bad. Xiaoping touched his chin. It seemed that there were many good things on the Dragon God continent. Just the dragon crystal alone was very valuable and would be very beneficial to his cultivation. Then, Bailey Guang invited Xiaoping to return to the nearby 100-mile city. Xiaoping also wanted to know more about this continent, so he did not reject the invitation. However, the Savage Forest was a 3-day journey from the 100-mile city. Along the way, Xiaoping had also seen many strange beasts that lived on the Dragon God continent. But without a doubt, every single savage beast harnessed the blood of a dragon, granting them superior physical constitution. Compared to ordinary savage beasts, they possessed superior strength, and defense. They also had one thing in common, which was that they had no intelligence and could only act according to their instincts. The biggest threat to humans in the Savage Forest is undoubtedly the barbaric dragon rabbit. Bailey Guang pointed at a rabbit that he had just caught. This was no ordinary rabbit. Its size was comparable to that of an ordinary lion, and it had dragon horns on its head. Its eyes were crimson, and its legs were terrifyingly strong. Even a kangaroo could not compare to it. Why do you say that the threat is the greatest? Xiaoping asked curiously. Although the barbaric dragon rabbit was stronger than ordinary beasts, it was not the strongest savage beast. At the very least, the barbaric dragon pig was much stronger than the barbaric dragon rabbit. That's because it can eat too much, and its reproductive ability is extremely strong. It can give birth to dozens of children in a month. Bailey Guang said helplessly. With their numbers, they could be said to be the tyrant of the savage dragon forest. Even when countless savage beasts are chasing after them, they still cannot eliminate the barbaric dragon rabbits. But when there are so many barbaric draconic rabbits, their appetite becomes terrifying. Even if they only eat grass and carrots, the entire forest won't be able to sustain their appetite. In the past, there were many forests that went extinct because of the barbaric dragon rabbits. They even invaded the fields of humans and ate all the food in the fields, resulting in a great famine. He had a headache when it came to these creatures that were inexhaustible, had shocking reproductive ability, and had huge appetites. Master, suddenly, the voice of the azure ox of the mountain and river pearl sounded. I feel that this barbaric dragon rabbit is very good. It's very suitable to be kept in the mountain and river pearl for breeding. It contains dragon blood, and if it can be sold in the universe, it will definitely be a good ingredient. Countless cultivators will go crazy to buy it. Moreover, its reproductive ability is shocking, and its life force is very strong. We don't need to do much to manage it. The mountain and river pearl is vast, and it can be used to divide a territory and plant a large number of plants. This will provide the perfect environment for the barbaric dragon rabbit to grow in. This is a rare ingredient. It's said that if a barbaric dragon rabbit could be sold in the universe for 10 universe dollars, 100 million would be 1 billion universe dollars, and 1 billion would be 10 billion universe dollars. Although other savage beasts also had powerful blood and energy, their reproductive ability was not as shocking as the barbaric dragon rabbit. In comparison, it was better to breed the barbaric dragon rabbit. You're right. Xiaoping touched his chin. This was indeed a good business. No one would complain about having too many universe dollars on them. Moreover, Writing books to earn money was ultimately just a one-time business. If he could successfully breed the barbaric dragon rabbit, it would be a milk cow with an endless supply of cash. Although the barbaric dragon rabbit needed to eat a large number of weeds, this was nothing to Xiaoping. He had the flame of life and the existence of the world tree, which could accelerate the growth of plants. Therefore, although the barbaric dragon rabbit could destroy ordinary forests, it could not destroy the forest in the mountain and river pearl. Even if there was any danger, the barbaric dragon rabbit could stay in the mountain and river pearl and exterminate it with a single thought. Most importantly, the meat of the barbaric dragon rabbit was quite delicious. Whether it was sold or eaten, it was a good choice. All right, let's capture barbaric dragon rabbits. Xiaoping immediately decided to head into the depths of the forest to capture barbaric dragon rabbits. In just a day, he had captured 10,000 of them and thrown them into the mountain and river pearl's internal space. Bailey Guang and the others were dumbfounded. They did not know what Xiaoping wanted to do with so many barbaric dragon rabbits. In the end, they could only think that it was Xiaoping's weird habit of eating rabbits. Chapter 1269. At the same time, just as Xiaoping left the savage forest, a huge army of dragon men rushed towards him. There were more than 10,000 of them, and wherever they went, all the wild beasts retreated in fear, not daring to come close. Not long after, they quickly arrived at the place where the kings of the dragon men died. Dead, they're all dead. 3 kings of the dragon men died, just like that. A middle-aged man wearing a crown gritted his teeth. He was furious as he looked at the dragon men soldiers and the 3 kings of the dragon men who had been reduced to a pile of meat paste on the ground. Before the 3 kings of the dragon men died, they knew that they were going to die, so they used a secret technique of the dragon men to transmit the news of their deaths to a nearby city of the dragon men, Black Fiend City. As a result, the city lord of Black Fiend City, an expert at the pinnacle of the divine realm, Wester, immediately summoned troops to rescue the 3 kings of the dragon men. But when they arrived, they found that all that was left of them was a pile of meat paste. How could this be? 3 kings of the dragon men were smashed into a pile of meat paste just like that. Who had the guts to kill the kings of the dragon men? A dragon man soldier said angrily. The kings of the dragon men had died silently. This was simply unimaginable, and it had not happened for many years. According to the information we received, it was done by experts of a human race, and they seemed to be from the nearby 100-mile city. Bastards! How dare the lowly human race kill the kings of our race? They're courting death. How dare the human race kill the kings of the dragon men? We'll return the favor. An eye for an eye. That's right. How dare the lowly human race do such a thing? We must make them pay in blood. Many dragon men soldiers roared in anger. They had always been the ones killing humans. How could they be killed by humans like this? Moreover, it was the kings of the dragon men who had been smashed into meat paste. This was a great humiliation. Convey my orders. Wester shouted angrily, immediately used the dragon man order, and summoned the kings of the nearby cities. Let them gather. We're going to 100-mile city to seek justice. If the human race doesn't give us justice, then we'll slaughter everyone in the city. A terrifying killing intent emanated from his body, causing even the weeds on the ground to wither. All the savage beasts within a radius of 100 miles trembled in fear, not daring to approach him at all. Among the 3 dead dragon human kings, one of them was his younger brother. It could be said that this was a monstrous hatred that Wester could not tolerate. He wanted to send his troops to the 100-mile city and completely eradicate this huge human city to take revenge. Yes, massacre the city, massacre the city. Lowly humans, kill them all. Leave no one alive. An eye for an eye. Kill those humans. Many dragon human soldiers roared, their chests filled with terrifying murderous intent. The humiliation of being killed by a human could only be washed away with the blood of these humans. As they shouted, killing intent filled the air. The entire savage forest seemed to be surrounded by a blood-red killing intent. Dark clouds covered the sky, as if a storm was coming. At this time, Xiaoping, Bailey Guang, and the others arrived at the 100-mile city. This is the 100-mile city. Xiaoping raised his head and looked at the city. It was indeed magnificent, vast, and filled with the smell of iron and blood. The city walls surrounded the city like a long dragon, like an impenetrable fortress. There were marks of swords and sabers on the city walls, and it was obvious that they had gone through many fierce battles. Bai Liguang. As they neared the city gates, a city guard greeted Bai Liguang. "Kid, you've been out hunting for so long. Did you get anything?" He was very friendly, and it was obvious that he was very familiar with Bai Liguang. "Bailey Lai, you've gotten a lot this time. You went out and killed 3 dragon human kings, 10 dragon marquises, dozens of soldier-level dragon people, and even a bunch of savage beasts." Bai Liguang was very proud of himself. With Xiaoping by their side these few days, any powerful savage beasts that came near were killed by Xiaoping with a wave of his hand. Although most of the beasts were eaten as food, a small portion was left as gifts to Bai Liguang and the others, which made them very happy. After all, this was a great harvest for them. If it were them, who knew how many people would have died to hunt these savage beasts? What? Hearing this, the city guard Bailey Lai was shocked. "No way, kid. Are you telling the truth? This is not a joke." The death of 3 king-level dragon people was a major event that could shock the entire human race. The other city guards were also dumbfounded, and they almost couldn't believe what they had just heard. "Of course it's true. When have you ever seen me joke about such a major event? Of course, I wasn't the one who killed them, and I don't have the ability to do so." Bai Liguang's expression was very serious, indicating that he was not joking. Could it be this lord who killed them? Bailey Lai looked around and realized that most of the people present were people he was familiar with, and he was very clear about their abilities. It was impossible for them to kill 3 king-level experts. There was only one stranger present, and he had never seen him before. It was possible that he was the one who killed the 3 king-level experts. That's right, it was this Lord Xia who did it. His abilities are extraordinary. Bai Liguang nodded and directly admitted that it was Xiaoping who did it. They had only been cheering from the side and had not done anything. "This matter is very important, and I have to report it to the city lord. Please forgive me for taking my leave." City guard Bailey Lai immediately saluted Xiaoping and then quickly left to report this matter to the city lord of the Bailey City. An hour later, Xiaoping, Bai Liguang, and the others were all invited to the city lord's palace. At this time, the city lord's palace was filled with people. The people present were all high-ranking generals of the Bailey City, and even the city lord Bai Lihu was in this place. "Is this the king-level expert who suddenly appeared? I heard that he personally killed 3 king-level dragon people. Is that true?" Those were dragon people, and they were all king-level dragon people, and 3 of them. How did he beat them? He looks so weak, but he really has such amazing power that even the king-level dragon people are no match for him. Many generals were discussing this, and they were all commenting on Xiaoping. The fact that he had personally killed 3 king-level dragon people was too shocking, and it was an unprecedented victory. Therefore, they were all very curious about this king-level expert who had suddenly appeared. Of course, there were also some people who doubted the authenticity of this matter because it was too unbelievable. They thought that Bai Liguang and the others were bragging and lying. Chapter 1270. Brother Xia. Before the others could say anything else, Bai Lihu stepped forward and introduced himself. "First of all, welcome to 100 Mile City. I am a city lord of 100 Mile City, Bai Lihu." "Nice to meet you, city lord." Xiaoping nodded. "All right. I like to speak frankly and not beat around the bush," Bai Lihu said straightforwardly. Bai Lihu said bluntly, "Many people here doubt Brother Xia's strength and think that you can't beat 3 Dragon Man Kings. It's easy to prove the truth of this matter. Fight with my subordinates, and we'll know how strong you are. If you win, you can enter the Dragon Vein of 100 Mile City to cultivate." What? Hearing this, the surrounding people were shocked. They couldn't believe that Bai Lihu would be so generous to let an outsider enter the Dragon Vein of 100 Mile City to cultivate. Dragon Vein? Xiaoping was very curious. However, when he saw the envious looks on the surrounding people's faces, he knew that this was definitely something good that countless people wanted. Otherwise, they wouldn't have such expressions. City Lord, isn't this a little too generous? At this moment, a commander secretly transmitted his voice. The Dragon Vein is the most important cultivation ground of our 100-mile city. Countless generals want to enter and cultivate, but they all need to obtain great merits. However, it's a little inappropriate for an outsider to have a chance to enter the Dragon Vein to cultivate. He felt that he needed to reconsider. Shut up. What do you know? City Lord by Lihu also transmitted his voice and replied, if he really killed 3 Dragonman kings, then it's not a big deal to provide a dragon's vein to aid his cultivation. Our human race is weak, and we need more experts, even emperor-level experts. This way, we can have some breathing space under the pressure of the Dragonoid kings. Of course, if he can't even defeat our commander, then what he said is naturally false. There's no need for him to provide the Dragon Vein. He had already considered many things. He didn't just blurt it out on impulse. Hearing this, the surrounding commanders immediately bowed in admiration. They had nothing else to say. Fight? That's fine. To me, it won't be a waste of time. Which one of you wants to fight? Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back and looked calmly at the people present. Let me do it. At this moment, a young man dressed in white with a 3-feet-long sword hanging from his waist walked out. His body emanated a tyrannical sword intent that soared into the sky. The moment this person stepped forward, the atmosphere in the hall changed. Commander by Li Han is personally taking action. It will be a good show to watch. I didn't expect Commander by Li Han to be interested in this battle. How rare. Haha, this kid is going to lose for sure. Bai Li Han is an expert second only to the City Lord. He has already reached the peak of the King realm. He is only one step away from the Emperor realm. Even a Dragon Man of the same level may not be a match for Lord Bai Li Han. How many moves do you think this kid can take? 3 moves. I think he will fall in 3 moves. Even in a 100-mile city, a King Stage expert would not be able to withstand 3 moves from Commander by Li Han. No. I think you guys are still underestimating him. Even if we discount the rumor, this Xiaoping still has considerable strength. At the very least, he can defeat a Dragonoid of the same level. I think he can withstand 50 moves. The surrounding people were discussing this. Apparently, they were very interested in by Li Han's choice. He had not fought in front of the crowd for a long time. He was the most powerful person, second only to the City Lord. Bai Li Han had created a lot of achievements. He was the hero of countless young people in the 100-mile city. Xia. Bai Li Han ignored the surrounding people. He stared at Xiaoping and said, I can feel that there is a terrifying power in your body. Once it explodes, it will be earth-shattering and make people tremble. I believe you are not lying. However, I still want to fight with you. I want to see who is stronger. His eyes were burning with fighting intent. As a strong cultivator, he could naturally feel the resonance between cultivators. Although Xiaoping did not reveal any of his aura and had completely restrained it, this showed that he was a strong cultivator. This meant that he had restrained his power to the perfect level and could release it at will. Come on, don't worry. Xiaoping's expression was still calm. This sword is called the Frigid Water Sword. It is made of meteoric iron. It was forged by a master blacksmith for 3 years and 6 months. It is 3 feet long and weighs 3 kilograms. It is extremely sharp and can cut through iron like mud. I, Bai Li Han, will fight with you with this sword. As soon as he finished speaking, Bai Li Han dashed out with a whoosh. Not bad. Xiaoping raised his eyebrows and looked at Bai Li Han. So fast. In Xiaoping's eyes, the speed was not bad. However, in the eyes of the surrounding people of the Bailey clan, it was so fast that it was shocking. It was so fast that the naked eye could not follow it. All that was left was a silver-white line. The sword was unsheathed. In an instant, the frigid water sword was unsheathed. Immediately, a beam of moonlight appeared. It was like a full moon rising into the sky. The whole world fell into darkness. Only the full moon was left. So cold. At the same time, as the light shone, many people of the Bailey clan felt a bone-piercing chill. It It was as if they had fallen into a world of ice and snow. The temperature dropped to 10 degrees below zero. Even the ground showed signs of being frozen. There was an aura that could freeze everything. This was by Li Han's famous swordsmanship, Moonlight Ice Sword. In the past, he had used this sword technique to kill a king gray dragon man, freezing his entire body into an ice sculpture. That king gray dragon man did not know what had happened, but his head had been separated from his neck. He did not even know how he had died. It was said that when one's swordsmanship reached a certain level, one slash could split a fish in half. The fish could still swim in the water. Because the speed was so fast, the fish did not know that it was already dead. Obviously, Bai Lihan had reached such a level of swordsmanship. He could be said to be a swordsmanship master. Black Vortex Ripple Fist. In an instant, when the sword light reached his body, Xia Ping also attacked. He took a step forward and instantly created a black hole. It was as if the air had turned into an endless whirlpool of water. Under the whirlpool, any light was devoured, producing an extremely strong devouring force. What? Bai Lihan was shocked. He felt that his invincible moonlight sword chi was being devoured by the black hole. No matter how sharp it was, it could not escape the devouring force of the black hole. Even the entire moon could not escape. It was being devoured, compressed, and absorbed completely. Oh no! Chapter 1271. Dong! With just one attack, Bai Lihan felt that his body was unable to withstand the astonishing destructive power. His entire body was sent flying. It was as if he had been slapped by the tides of the sea, bombarding him thousands of times. Pooh! Immediately, he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. His entire body flew backward and slid across the ground. In the end, he smashed fiercely against the wall of the hall and created a large pit. He could not even hold the cold water sword in his hand. With a clang, it fell to the ground. Bai Lihan looked at Xia Ping in disbelief. Then, he looked at his right hand, which was powerless to hold the cold water sword. He wanted to say something, but he could not say anything. My God, what just happened? This is ridiculous. That is Bai Lihan, the strongest genius of Bailey City. How could he be defeated in one move? This punch is too strong. I can feel an unparalleled power, as if it could destroy everything. Bai Lihan's defeat was not unjust. That punch was too powerful. It was close to the power of an emperor. With such power, it's not impossible to kill 3 Dragonoid kings. The group of commanders of the Bailey clan, who were watching from the sidelines, started to discuss among themselves. There were also challenger-level cultivators, so they had good eyesight. Naturally, they could tell how terrifying that punch of Xia Ping's was. Although it hadn't erupted completely and was only the tip of the iceberg, ordinary king-level practitioners wouldn't be able to resist it at all. This overbearing power was too terrifying. At the same time, when some of the geniuses of the Bailey clan saw this scene, they felt a special sense of beauty. There was a spiral power contained within it, as though it contained the principles of the great Tao. It was unfathomable. Xia Yuan, we acknowledge your strength. Many of the Bailey clan's commanders were in awe. This was how cultivators were. Whether they were strong or not, they would know after a fight. There was no possibility of deception. If he wasn't strong enough, he would be crippled with a single punch. How could he waste his breath? Xia, what kind of fist technique was that? City Lord by Li Hu's eyes lit up. His eyes shone brightly, as if he had found a prey. He could feel that this fist contained an even higher level of power, and it was unfathomable. Even after seeing this punch, he was moved, as if it could touch the power of an emperor level. Black Vortex Ripple Fist, a fist technique I created myself. Xia Ping smiled. Self-created? Everyone was dumbfounded. Such a powerful fist technique was actually created by this young man. Wasn't this too exaggerated? Exactly how talented was he? You have won the battle earlier, so you are qualified to enter the dragon vein to cultivate. However, can you fight me? City Lord by Li Hu clenched his fists as he stared at Xia Ping with a fanatical expression. What? The Castellan is going to do it himself? Many members of the Bailey clan were shocked, including Bai Lihan. That was because the City Lord by Li Hu was a veteran king-level expert at the peak. He could be said to be half a step into the emperor level. Even a genius like Bai Lihan could not defeat such an expert. He could only admit defeat. Ever since Bai Lihu became the city lord, they had not seen him fight for a long time. Once he fought, it meant that something earth-shattering had happened in Bai Li's city. It's okay, come on. Xiaoping didn't mind. He also wanted to experience more battles. Only fierce battles could sharpen his martial Dao cultivation and stabilize his martial Dao foundation. Moreover, he also wanted to see how powerful the human cultivators of the Divine Dragon Continent were. It would be very beneficial to his martial Dao cultivation. Come on. As soon as he finished speaking, Bai Lihu attacked. Martial Dao magic, tiger fist with 8 arms. In an instant, his body expanded and grew to 8 meters tall. 6 arms even grew out of his back. Adding the 2 arms from before, he now had 8 arms. He glared angrily, his face ferocious. He looked like an 8-armed tiger. A violent aura surged out of his body. He was like a divine tiger roaring in the forest, dominating an area. Retreat, retreat quickly. Feeling the violent aura, the expressions of the leaders of the Bailey clan changed. They immediately shouted and ordered the people around to retreat. Otherwise, they would definitely be injured by the aura. Some of the stronger ones immediately retreated hundreds of meters. The weaker ones were not so lucky. They were knocked unconscious on the spot, foaming at the mouth. If it weren't for the leaders next to them who took the unconscious soldiers of the Bailey clan away, they would probably have been killed by the shock waves of the battle. Rumble, a huge pit immediately appeared on the ground where he stood. Countless cracks appeared like a spider web, covering the entire hall. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Bai Lihu immediately moved. He waved his 8 arms, and countless fist prints appeared in the void. They solidified. Each fist print was like a tiger coming out of the mountain, containing the power to destroy the forest. They even contained spiritual attacks. People with weak spiritual power might even hallucinate, thinking that they were being devoured by countless tigers and passing out from fear. Xiaoping moved forward and fought with Bai Lihu. He didn't use any fist techniques. He was purely relying on his instincts. However, when one reaches level, even a casual punch or kick would have the power to split mountains and split rocks. It was an unfathomable ability. Bang! Bang! In an instant, the 2 figures fought in the air. Their fists and legs met. Neither of them defended. They fought purely with their physical strength. It was as if they had returned to the ancient era, bloody and barbaric. Every time they clashed, there would be an intense explosion of air. A deep pit would appear on the ground. Vaguely, the warriors of the Bailey clan present seemed to see a divine bird and a divine tiger fighting in the void. Their sharp claws clashed against each other. So strong. Xiaoping felt incomparably delighted. It had been a long time since he had experienced such a barbaric battle. Moreover, Bai Lihu's physical strength was not just for show. He reckoned that he had eaten an unknown number of savage beasts that contained dragon blood, tempering his body to an inhuman level. Coupled with his extraordinary talent, he had a monstrous body that was far stronger than ordinary people. Ordinary warriors of the Bailey clan couldn't even withstand a punch from him. They would be smashed into meat paste on the spot. However, it was a pity that his opponent was Xiaoping, a monster who was even more terrifying than him. Xiaoping's strength was far greater than his. He had also successfully refined the golden crow body of hell and the azure the arch body. His physique was so strong that it made people's hair stand on end. Even so, Bai Lihu still put a lot of pressure on Xiaoping. Every time they clashed fiercely, he could feel his blood boiling. His heart was beating fiercely. His blood was rushing in his veins like a great river. The cells of the golden crow of hell deep inside his body seemed to be stimulated by this. They were being unsealed one by one, melting into the depths of his blood, making his golden crow of hell bloodline even stronger. Chapter 1272. This feels great. This feels great. Bai Lihu shouted. He hadn't found such a strong opponent in a long time. He couldn't defeat a great emperor, and those at the same level were no match for him, either. As a result, He had been lonely as an expert. He hadn't expected to meet Xia Ping, an opponent who was on par with him and liked to fight with his fists and feet. This was like a pie falling from the sky. Bang, bang, bang. The fight between the two of them became more and more intense. The whole hall collapsed, and there were broken walls everywhere. The warriors of the Bailey clan and the surroundings didn't dare to get within 10 miles of the two lunatics. This was because every time the two of them collided, the airwaves generated were strong enough to injure a king. Before, some warriors didn't give up and wanted to get closer. However, they were swept away by the airwaves and sent flying several miles away. In the end, they smashed into a house outside the Bailey city and were seriously injured. They would need at least 3 months to recover. Damn, this is too abnormal. Who on earth is Xia? How can he compete with the city lord in terms of strength? It's not that he can compete with the city lord. He's stronger than the city lord. Can't you see that he's fighting with ease? He's really a monster. No wonder he could kill 3 dragon people at the king level. Who can compete with him? If I hadn't confirmed that he's a human, I would have thought he was the reincarnation of a real dragon. There must be a wild beast living in his body. His strength and physique are too exaggerated. Look at him. He looks like a pretty boy. I didn't expect his physique to be so terrifying. The warriors of the Bailey clan were quite frightened. This kind of fight was beyond their expectations. This was a fight between top-notch kings, which was rarely seen in the world. Dong! Another fierce collision occurred. It was like a volcanic eruption. The collision created a pit with a diameter of 1 mile. The airwaves surged, and Xia Ping and Bai Lihu quickly separated. This time, Bai Lihu couldn't bear the destructive power anymore. He couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. His huge body, he fell on the ground, and the 6 arms on his body disappeared. He returned to his original state. He lay on the ground, panting and sweating. Even so, he couldn't hide the joy in his heart. Very powerful, as expected of the city lord of the Bailey city. Xia Ping stood on the ground and was not stingy with his praise. He couldn't help but feel a little regretful. As the battle stopped, he could feel that his evolution had also ended. His blood was boiling, but there was nothing he could do about it. After all, Bai Lihu did not have the strength to fight again. Liar. Bai Lihu lay in the deep pit, gasping for breath. He said unhappily, "Tell me honestly, you didn't use your full strength just now, did you?" He looked at Xia Ping faintly. The more they fought, the more he could feel how terrifying Xia Ping's power was. It was like the ocean, and he couldn't tell how deep it was. As his strength increased, the other party's strength also increased. It seemed to cooperate with him in the battle, and also like a martial Dao master giving pointers to him. Such an obvious gap made him extremely depressed, but at the same time, it also made him extremely excited. This world was indeed very big, and experts were as common as the clouds. Xia Ping smiled, but did not say anything. "Forget it, you slippery fellow. Bailey Xiong, come here." Bai Lihu shouted loudly. With a whooshing sound, a burly figure flew over from afar and landed beside Bai Lihu. His body was huge, like a black bear. As he stood on the ground, it felt like the sky was being covered by him. "Lord City Lord, you've lost so miserably." Commander Bai Lixiong looked at Bai Lihu with a mocking look. "Stop talking nonsense. I'm going to sleep. You take this guy to the dragon vein to cultivate, that's all." After saying this, Bai Lihu couldn't bear it anymore. He fainted on the ground and slept soundly. "Young man, come with me," Bai Lixiong said to Xia Ping. "Don't you care about him?" Xia Ping pointed at Bai Lihu. Bai Lixiong waved his hand and said, "Don't worry about him. Soldiers will carry him away later and take him for treatment. Moreover, he is just exhausted. With his physique, this kind of injury is nothing. He can recover in 1 night." Xia Ping was amazed. The physique of humans in the Dragon God continent was really amazing. They were much stronger than the humans in the Cloud Realm. Under Bai Lixiong's lead, the two of them went deep into the City Lord's mansion. They arrived at the back mountain of the City Lord's mansion. The deeper they went, the tighter the security became. There were restrictive formations everywhere. They entered a cave at the back of the mountain and walked straight in. Following the tunnel in the depths of the cave, they gradually went underground. After a long time, they finally arrived at the deepest part of the underground space. As soon as he arrived, Xiaoping discovered that he seemed to have arrived in a completely different world. Such a dense spiritual qi. Xiaoping immediately felt the dense spiritual qi in this underground space. It was even denser than the spiritual qi in Yanhuang Peak, where he lived in the Heaven and Earth faction. Due to the density of the world's origin energy, it actually formed rivers that flowed with colorful light. Just taking a breath of it would raise one's spirit and prolong one's lifespan. Amazing! Xiaoping was dumbfounded. The spiritual qi was so dense that it turned into liquid and even formed rivers. Such a scene was too shocking. It was like a real paradise. If that was all there was to it, it would not have been a big deal. However, he seemed to be able to see the illusory figures of dragons within the spirit liquid rivers. They contained incredible energy and were full of vitality. This is the dragon vein. Xiaoping understood. That's right. This is the dragon vein. It's also the most important forbidden area in Baili City. It's the center where countless spiritual qi gather. Bai Lixiong smiled. Other than that, it's different from other spiritual qi. It contains a large amount of dragon qi, which is very beneficial to the cultivation of martial artists. It's a piece of cake for them. Originally, this place was only open to those who had made great contributions. Ordinary people couldn't enter. Otherwise, if a large number of experts were to cultivate and devour it, the dragon vein would be damaged. However, since you killed 3 Emperor Dragonians and defeated by Li Han and City Lord by Li Hu, you naturally have a right to enjoy the cultivation place of the dragon vein. Xiaoping nodded. He could feel the benefits of cultivating in the dragon vein. He believed that if he cultivated here for a few days, he would be able to smoothly break through to the late-stage God realm. All right, I'll leave this place to you for now. You can cultivate here for 7 days. After that, you must come out. Bai Lixiong said, this is a forbidden area with restrictive formations. Unrelated people won't be able to enter, so you don't have to worry about people barging in and obstructing your cultivation. Yes, Xiaoping nodded. After saying that, Bai Lixiong turned and left. He didn't seem to be someone who spoke nonsense. All right, let's start cultivating and break through to the late-stage God realm. Chapter 1273. At this moment, many generals had gathered in a hall in the city lord's residence to discuss what had just happened. Xiaoping is really powerful. He even defeated by Li Han and city lord by Li Hu so easily. Where did he come from? Why haven't I seen him before? Could he be from the sacred city? Some generals guessed. The sacred city was the largest city of the human race in this world. It was equivalent to a capital city. There were many experts there, and there were even emperor-level experts. The existence of the sacred city was also the reason why the humans in this world could struggle under the oppression of the dragon men. It can't be the sacred city. Bai Li Han shook his head and said, I've been to the holy city before. Although it looks big, the circle is actually very small. I know everything that happens very clearly. However, I've never heard of Xia's name. He thought that Xiaoping was not from the sacred city. If that's the case, then he must be from the common people. I can only say that the common people are really full of hidden talents. Isn't that so? After all, there are so many people in the human race. It's not impossible for a few hidden sovereigns to appear. Hearing this, many generals nodded. Although they did not know where Xiaoping came from, he was a human, so there was nothing to worry about. Xiaoping looks very young. He has become a sovereign at such a young age and defeated the city lord. It seems that he has a high chance of becoming an emperor-level expert in the future and becoming the 4th emperor-level expert of the human race. A general suddenly said, Emperor-level, for what you've said, it is indeed very likely. Xiaoping looks to be in his teens or 20s. He has become a sovereign at such a young age and had a high chance of becoming an emperor-level expert. At least, he is much older than the others. The dragon men can't suppress the human race because they have 6 emperor-level experts, while the human race only has 3. There's no way we can compare. Yes, if the human race has 1 more emperor-level expert, then we can greatly reduce the pressure. Perhaps we can even stand up to the dragon men and not be exterminated. Everyone was very excited. In a dragon god continent, the human race was at a disadvantage and was no match for the dragon men. The dragon human race had not been exterminated by the dragon human race because of the existence of the 3 emperor-level human race experts. Coupled with the defenses of the sacred city, the dragon human race could not destroy them. But even so, they were still in a state of suppression. The lower-class humans were in a miserable state. Once they encountered the dragon men, they would either be captured as slaves or killed. Moreover, the dragon human race had many powerful cultivators. If there was another emperor-level expert, or even 2 emperor-level experts, then there would really be no hope for the human race, and they would definitely be completely annihilated by the dragon human race. It would be great if 2 or 3 of the emperor-level experts of the dragon human race died. That way, we wouldn't have to fear the dragon human race. Someone sighed. Stop dreaming. Even if we all die, the emperor-level dragon human will not die, Bai Lihan said angrily. The others were helpless as well. Advancing to the emperor realm would greatly increase one's lifespan, allowing them to live for at least 3,000 years. If they cultivated techniques that increased their lifespan, they could even live for 5,000 years. In this long period of time, it was unknown how many dynasties had changed. It was simply impossible to wait for an emperor-level powerhouse to die. I'm just thinking about it. The man smiled awkwardly. At this moment, in the depths of the dragon vein, Xiaoping sat cross-legged on a rock and activated the pure yang immortal technique to devour the qi of the dragon vein. Rumble. Immediately, the majestic qi of the dragon vein surged into his limbs and bones, causing the magic power in his body to increase at a speed visible to the naked eye. It fused into the depths of every cell. How comfortable! Xiaoping could not help but exclaim. The spiritual qi of the dragon vein was too rich. It was comparable to spiritual liquid and even contained the aura of a dragon. This aura was extremely special and had great benefits for the human body. It could highly activate the cells in the body and increase magic power. Even the power of the divine sense could be rapidly increased. Cultivating in this place was more than 1,000 times more efficient than cultivating in other places. How mysterious! Xiaoping's divine sense seeped into the depths of the dragon vein. His divine sense merged with the dragon vein, and he seemed to feel the vastness, thickness, and depth of the land. He could feel that this dragon vein was the center of countless spiritual veins. These qi veins covered a radius of 10,000 miles and were the foundation of everything on this land. His divine sense flowed along with the circulation of the dragon vein. He could also feel the 100-mile city above the dragon vein. He could feel the heavy traffic, the breathing of every living creature in the city, their emotions, and the rhythm of every heartbeat. This contained great power. Is this the power of heaven and earth, the array of heaven and earth? At this moment, Xiaoping felt an inexplicable sense of gratitude. It was as though the powers of the heaven and earth had a unique rhythm to them. This was especially the case for this dragon vein. Countless qi meridians were intertwining with one another, as though they were forming a heaven and earth formation. It was this array that gathered countless qi veins and formed the dragon vein. If one could control it, he would be able to control the power of heaven and earth and control the power of heaven and earth. And this was the treasure refining realm. Vaguely, he seemed to feel that he had touched a trace of the mystery of the treasure refining realm. This realm was the first step to exploring the mysteries of heaven and earth. With his own insignificance, he explored the vastness of the universe. With a pure heart, he immersed himself in the emotions of heaven and earth. Walala, Xiaoping didn't cultivate much, but naturally his divine sense was growing rapidly. 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers, 100 kilometers, 1,000 kilometers, 2,000 kilometers, and finally 4,000 kilometers. It felt as though everything within the range of his divine sense was under his control. It's time. Xiaoping's eyes flashed with a bright light as he operated the pure yang immortal art. His 108,000 pores were swallowing the surrounding spirit chi into his body, as if he was swallowing a cloud and spitting out mist. The magic power in his body was also rising steadily. It was unknown how much time had passed, but the magic power in his Purple Mansion realm had almost reached the perfected stage. He could feel that he had reached the limits of the middle stage of the Purple Mansion realm and was about to break through. This wasn't a forceful breakthrough, but a natural process that allowed him to reach this stage naturally. Dong! Right at this moment, the boundless magic power overflowed and smashed a barrier, expanding the Purple Mansion realm. In just a few breaths, it had doubled in size. It allowed the space that could accommodate the magic power to become bigger and wider. It was like the ocean, with the wind blowing and clouds scudding. It felt as though there were the changes of the four seasons and the flow of time. His magic power, divine senses, and physical strength had all increased by a huge margin, reaching an extremely high stage. Chapter 1274. This power. Xiaoping clenched his fists. He could feel that the power in his body had increased by a large margin. The magical power in his Z mansion was also extremely terrifying, reaching a frightening level. In terms of pure strength, he could probably fight a cultivator at the beginning stage of treasure crafting realm. Of course, the biggest improvement was still his consciousness. Cultivating in the dragon's vein allowed his consciousness to improve rapidly. The improvement of his divine sense also made the efficiency of his comprehension extremely shocking. This is the heaven and earth formation. Xiaoping sat cross-legged on the ground and spread out his consciousness. He carefully learned and felt the formation. He finally understood why the treasure crafting realm was so much stronger than the mystic realm. It was because the treasure crafting realm understood the heaven and earth formation and could borrow the power of heaven and earth to unleash 10 times, 100 times more power. The mystic realm relied on their own power, so how could they fight against the treasure crafting realm? The next step is to evolve the mystic talisman and form a formation to merge with my body. Xiaoping knew that the treasure crafting realm was to merge the heaven and earth formation into one's body. That way, with the formation in one's body, one's every move could communicate with the power of heaven and earth. Even every breath could call upon the power of heaven and earth. How strong would that be? Of course, the more formations there were in one's body, the more terrifying the power of heaven and earth would be. But to merge the formation into one's body wasn't that simple. It required an extremely strong physique. If one's physique wasn't strong enough, one formation would cause one's body to collapse and turn to dust. But Xiaoping had the Azure the Arch body and the Hell Golden Raven body. His physique was even stronger than a baby god beast. He had the strength to carry mountains and naturally didn't need to worry about this. The dragon's vein seems to be much thinner. Xiaoping raised an eyebrow and felt that the aura of the dragon's vein was much weaker. Perhaps it was because he had devoured too much qi of the dragon's vein that even the dragon's vein couldn't handle it. Originally, the dragon's vein could last for hundreds of years, but now it only had a few decades left. He felt a little bad. They were originally willing to lend him the dragon's vein to cultivate with good intentions, but now he had almost devoured the dragon's vein. If this dragon vein was useless, then the humans living in this city would find it very difficult to cultivate in the future. This place would also become a place with sparse spirit chi. They would need to find another place with dense spirit chi. He was not an ungrateful person. Perhaps he had to think of a way to help them. A few days later, Xiaoping had finally stabilized his late transcendent state cultivation and walked out of the dragon vein. At this time, a group of Bailey City's generals and the city lord of Bailey City, by Li Hu, walked over from afar. After several days of recuperation, the 100-mile tiger had clearly become as vigorous as a dragon and as ferocious as a tiger. There was even a hint of sharpness in his eyes. He was like a ferocious tiger that had just been born. He seemed to have gained great enlightenment. Although Bai Lihu had lost the previous battle, he had gained some comprehension and took a big step toward the treasure refining realm. Originally, he had no hope of advancing to the treasure-refining realm, but now there was a sliver of hope. Xia, have you broken through? Bai Lihu immediately sensed that the aura on Xia Ping's body was completely different from a few days ago. It seemed to be even more unfathomable, and every move of it seemed to have merged with the world. He had sensed such an aura from the great emperors in the Holy City, but Xia Ping was clearly only at the challenger level. Why would he have such a strange feeling? That's right, I've broken through. Xia Ping nodded. Congratulations, congratulations. Your cultivation base has improved. As expected, cultivating in the dragon vein will definitely be very beneficial. It seems that there is a high chance of advancing to the Great Emperor realm in the future. Many of the Bailey clan's generals were overjoyed. To the human race, the more experts there were, the better, especially great emperors. They wished that there could be 8 or 10 of them at once. Only if the human race could continuously produce experts could they win the war against the dragon human race. Otherwise, the human race would only end up with extinction. Banquet. Hold a banquet tonight to celebrate Xia's coming out of seclusion. Bai Lihu laughed heartily. He patted Xia Ping's shoulder with his large hands, making loud, thumping sounds. Yes, hold a banquet. The human race has one more expert. This is a major event. Many of the generals nodded in agreement. Xia Ping sighed inwardly when he saw how forthright these people were. The humans of this continent were somewhat similar to the humans of ancient times. The human race was weak, but they were simple and honest. They were extremely united and rarely plotted against each other. This was also normal. Under the oppression of other races, there was the danger of extermination at any time. Who would dare to rebel against one another? However, he liked this kind of era very much. In a wild forest 1,000 miles away from the 100-mile city. At this moment, hundreds of dragon human kings were gathered together. They were surrounded by a red aura, and there seemed to be many huge dragons roaring in the sky. It was extremely vast and unfathomable. All the wild beasts within 1,000 miles of them fled in fear. There's almost no trace of them. Wester, a dragon human king dressed in red armor, said, "You used the dragon human token to summon us here to launch a war against the 100-mile city. Have you prepared your plan? Don't provoke the great emperors of the human race." "Don't worry," Wester said. "I've already made all the preparations. The 3 great emperors of the human race have been pinned down in the holy city by the dragon human race's sovereign. They can't do anything. The other human cities are also very far away. They won't be able to save them in time. Therefore, the only human city we have to deal with is the 100-mile city. This time, I won't take a single cent from attacking this human city. I'll give it all to you. I only want those human kings who killed my younger brother to die." A terrifying, murderous intent emanated from his body. In order to avenge his younger brother, he didn't care about any benefits. He only wanted those humans to die, and no one would be spared. Ha! Brother Wester is indeed forthright. If it's just a human city like the 100-mile city, it'll naturally be very easy. According to our intelligence, there are only 30 human kings in the 100-mile city. We have 100 here. It's enough to crush them. That's right. Even if it's 1 against 1, they won't be a match for us. Not to mention that we have 3 times the number of human kings. As long as all the human kings are dead, the other good-for-nothings of the human race won't be a threat. With our million-strong dragon human army, we can easily kill these mortals. The key is those human kings. The only problem is that City Lord Bai Lihu and his general, Bai Lihan. They have the ability to kill dragon human kings of the same level. Don't let them fail miserably. Don't worry. We'll send 10 dragon human kings to keep them busy. After we kill all the weaker human kings, we'll surround them and attack them. They definitely won't be able to escape. This time, if we destroy a human city, the human race will definitely suffer heavy losses. It won't be long before they are all wiped out. Chapter 1275. At the training field of the city lord's residence in Bailey City, Xia Ping was practicing his fist technique. Every punch was as heavy as a mountain and carried with it a suffocating aura. It was as if the entire city was trembling, as if an ancient beast had awakened. Many humans descended nearby to watch. Xiaoping is really terrifying. His fist technique is too powerful. I feel like I'm going to be crushed just by watching from the side. Even in the holy city, there aren't many fist technique grandmasters like him. He's almost in a trance. As expected, Xiaoping has a great chance of stepping into the imperial realm. Many generals were full of praise. They were intoxicated by the scene of Xiaoping practicing his fist technique and benefited a lot from it. It was as if every punch contained the power of heaven and earth and resonated with it. This monster is indeed not using his full strength. City Lord Bai Lihu looked at Xiaoping with burning eyes. After his previous battle with Xiaoping, he could feel that he seemed to have touched the bottleneck of the Overlord realm. He estimated that he would be able to break through to the Overlord realm in another 10 years. But for some reason, he had a strange feeling that even if he really did break through to the Imperial realm, he might not be a match for this man. This world is very beneficial for condensing magic powers. Xiaoping's eyes lit up. He could feel that the speed of condensing magic powers on the Dragon God continent was much faster than in the outside world, be it in terms of comprehension of magic powers or condensation. In just a day, he had already stabilized his cultivation of the late stage of the divine realm and even improved rapidly. Many of his magic powers had the power to communicate with heaven and earth and seemed to have transformed into the embryonic form of the heaven and earth formation. Perhaps this world had once been inhabited by a true dragon, and the aura of a true dragon was everywhere, causing the yuan qi of this continent to change and making it easier for people to comprehend martial arts and magic powers. Therefore, the human race in this place had many divine realm cultivators and experts. Dong, 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 dong. At this moment, the urgent sound of a bell rang throughout the entire city. It rang 18 times in a row and resounded throughout the entire city, letting everyone in the city know. Hearing the sound of the bell, the faces of the generals in the training field changed drastically. Damn it, 18 rings of the bell. An army of the dragon human race is invading. Hurry, 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 go to the city walls and defend against the enemy. For a moment, the generals in the training field didn't dare to waste any time. They picked up their weapons and armors and left quickly, flying toward the city wall of the 100-mile city. Xiaoping furrowed his brows and followed the generals. At this moment, all the warriors in the 100-mile city who heard the bell, regardless of age or gender, gathered on the city wall. On the Dragon God continent, there were no weaklings among the human race. Basically, every human was a soldier. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. There was a vast open space above the city gate. City Lord Bai Lihu and his 9 generals, including Bai Lihan, were there. There were also many king-level warriors. There were 20 to 30 of them in total. At this moment, all of them appeared in this place with solemn expressions. The dragon human race is attacking. They've brought 1 million soldiers and 100 dragon human kings. If we don't get reinforcements in 3 days, we can only fight to the death if we want to live. Bai Lihu said, "What?" The expressions of the generals of the Bailey clan changed drastically when they heard this. Bai Lihu's words contained too much information, and it was too frightening. The enemy was powerful, but they didn't get reinforcements. Weren't they doomed? They had thought too much. It seemed that the dragon human race had come prepared when they attacked the 100-mile city. Not only did they delay the reinforcements from the holy city, but they had also brought a large army to bear. They were clearly trying to kill them. They had probably planned this for a long time. "Look, they're here." Bai Lihan pointed to the front. The crowd followed his finger and looked over. Xiaoping also narrowed his eyes. Rumble, there seemed to be hundreds of dragons riding on clouds at the end of the sky. A large number of dragon people riding on wild beasts were charging toward the 100-mile city in a frenzy. There were more than 1 million dragon human warriors densely packed together. They were like ants, and there was a dense mass of human heads everywhere. It was a terrifying and suffocating sight. There were more than 10,000 of them, and they seemed endless. Furthermore, there were more than 1 million of them, and every single one of them was an elite. This kind of combat power was enough to destroy the 100-mile city more than 10 times over. This immediately made the Bailey clan warriors feel a tinge of despair. Don't. It was at this moment that the dragon human race army suddenly stopped. They moved in an orderly manner and immediately stopped 5 kilometers away from Bailey City, facing off against the soldiers of the Bailey clan from afar. The human race. The king of the dragon people, Wester, rode out on a barbaric dragon tiger. He walked with a majestic gait, and his body emitted an extremely powerful aura. He was the commander of this dragon human race army. Wester, Bai Lihu, and the others immediately recognized this old opponent. This Wester was a veteran king who had been famous for a long time, and his strength was even more terrifying than Bai Lihu's. This time, Wester had personally brought many kings of the dragon people with him. It was clear that he was determined to win. Wester, why have you led your army to invade my 100-mile city? You and the 100-mile city should not have interfered with each other, Bai Lihu asked loudly. As a cultivator at the pinnacle of the divine realm, his voice was like thunder, and it could be heard clearly by everyone within a radius of 100 kilometers. Nonsense. You humans do not have the right to interfere with each other's affairs. Wester laughed coldly. Don't tell me you've forgotten that a few days ago, a king of the human race killed 3 of the dragon human race's kings. Not even their corpses were left. This is a deep-seated hatred. This time, I've led the dragon human race army here to slaughter everyone in the city and spare no one. What? Many of the Bailey clan generals felt their hearts tighten. Although they knew about this, they did not expect Wester and the others to really attack the 100-mile city and destroy them. Because of this, of course, if you want to avoid this disaster, it's not impossible. Wester's tone changed. What do you want? Bai Lihu asked. Hand over the murderers who killed the 3 kings of the dragon human race, Wester shouted. Chop off the heads of these murderers and hang them on the city gates so that the people will despise them. Also, execute the murderers and their families. The men will die, and the women will be slaves of the dragon human race for generations to come. If you can do this, the dragon human race army will immediately retreat. He gave his own conditions. As long as these conditions were met, he would lead the army to retreat and not invade the 100-mile city. What do you think? This should be beneficial to all of you. As long as you hand over the murderer and kill all the members of the murderer's family, you will be able to avoid a disaster and avoid the destruction of your entire clan. Wester looked arrogant as he stared at Bai Lihu and the others. However, he was laughing coldly in his heart because these conditions were all fake. Even if Bai Lihu really killed the murderers, they would definitely not retreat. After all, he had used the dragon human order and gathered hundreds of kings of the dragon people not for such a small matter. Destroying the 100-mile city and uprooting this human stronghold was a must. Chapter 1276. Scram. Hearing this, the city lord Bai Lihu shouted without hesitation. If you want to kill my human race's king, you will have to step over my corpse and kill all my clansmen. Don't talk nonsense here. If you have the guts, then destroy my 100-mile city. Many generals sneered and looked mockingly at Wester and the other draconian kings. These draconians thought that they could sow discord with just a few words and make them hand over the person who killed the draconian king. What a joke. On the dragon god continent, the reason why the human race was able to survive under the oppression of the dragon human race and not be wiped out was because of the morality and unity of the human race. They would rather die than betray their clansmen. Moreover, these Dragonians were despicable, shameless, vicious, and cunning. None of their words were trustworthy. Even if they really handed over the so-called murderer, these Dragonians would never retreat. Therefore, why would they care about the words of these Dragonians? It was nothing more than a battle to the death. Stubborn fool. Seeing that his attempt to sow discord had no effect, Wester flew into a rage out of humiliation. Since you humans want to die, then I will grant your wish. Dragonfolk army, march to the 100-mile city. Massacre the city. His roar was like the roar of a dragon god from the 9 heavens, covering the entire city. Kill, kill, kill. The dragon men roared in anger. The million-strong army moved together and attacked the 100-mile city. For Guardians, heavenly dipper formation, rise. Seeing that the dragon human race was attacking, Bailihu immediately activated the huge formation of the 100-kilometer city. This was the source of confidence for the human race to fight against the dragon human race. The formation of the city could cover an entire city. Under the cover of such a huge formation, as long as the dragon human army did not destroy the formation, they would not be able to enter the city and would not be able to slaughter the old, weak, women, and children of the human race. Moreover, once they entered the range of the 4 heavenly dipper formation, the strength of the dragon human race would decrease by 30%, while the strength of the human soldiers would increase by 20%. This gap was enough to bridge the gap in strength between the human race and the dragon human race, or even surpass it. Therefore, the humans could easily kill the dragon human soldiers under the protection of the city's formation. Rumble, in the blink of an eye, the great formation of the 100-kilometer city rose up. Immediately, for huge pillars appeared in the north, south, east, and west directions. They were like 4 elephants that pierced through the clouds. The 4 pillars released a massive amount of energy, forming a massive energy barrier that instantly enveloped the entire 100-kilometer city. It even extended 3 to 4 kilometers outside the city. Instantly, countless human soldiers felt that their strength had been increased, and the dragon human soldiers who had entered the range of the formation felt their strength weaken. Of course, the suppression effect of this formation wasn't that great for kings. It only had a significant effect on those below the king level. That was why kings were able to move freely within the formation. The ordinary people of the 100-mile city also sensed this situation. They also knew that the dragon human army was attacking. The formation has been activated. Those dragon human race bastards are already here. Don't worry, we humans are invincible under the formation. That's right. With City Lord Bailihu here, the dragon human race will never be able to invade. Let's join the battle. We must drive out the dragon human army and kill them all. We can't let them invade our home. Many human soldiers were filled with fighting spirit, and their eyes burned with the flames of battle. This wasn't the first time they had fought against the dragon human army. Although they were afraid, worried, and terrified, their home was here, and they would never retreat. Moreover, their home was here, so where could they retreat to? The kings of the dragon human race were immediately aware of this situation. The human race's great formation has been activated. It's just the 4 elephants' heavenly dipper formation. It's not like it's the great formation of the holy city of the human race. It's useless against us kings. Even so, it's still very effective against the dragon human soldiers below the king level. Yes, we dragon human soldiers are at a disadvantage under such a great formation. It's because of this tortoise shell-like formation that we can't eradicate these humans. Don't worry, this 4 elephants heavenly dipper formation looks powerful, but as long as we destroy one of the pillars and break the balance of the formation will naturally collapse on its own. However, the human race should have thought of this as well. They've sent their kings to the nodes of the formation to protect it. What's there to be afraid of? We'll send 100 kings to attack one of the pillars and destroy it. No matter how the humans resist, it'll be useless. In the face of absolute power, all tricks are laughable. Yes, we'll attack the pillar in the east, destroy the 4 elephants' heavenly dipper formation, and slaughter the humans. The kings of the dragon human race were filled with murderous intent as they charged toward the pillar in the east of 100-kilometer city. They didn't hide their intentions at all, and they paid no attention to the other dragon human soldiers. This was because the focus of the war was the battle between the kings. If the kings won, the battle would naturally be won, and if they lost, the other soldiers wouldn't be able to turn the tide. The movements of the kings of the dragon human race were immediately discovered by the generals of 100-kilometer city. They're here. Their target is the pillar in the east. How arrogant! They've sent all their main forces and have no intention of splitting up. I think they want to concentrate their forces and destroy our 4 elephants' heavenly dipper formation. Humph. Do they think they have the advantage in numbers? I have to admit that they have more troops than us. Even with the 4 elephants' heavenly dipper formation, we might not be able to hold them off. We have to hold them off even if we can't. Otherwise, our families will all die. Yes, even if we die, we'll drag a few of them down with us. The generals of 100-kilometer city were filled with murderous intent. Even though the dragon-human race was powerful, they had no intention of giving up. This was because the people of 100-kilometer city were behind them, and they were their families. They couldn't back down even half a step. Soon, they also gathered in the east of 100-kilometer city. The kings of both sides clearly planned to have a decisive battle here. Whoosh! At this moment, a figure darted out and took the lead. He ignored the other generals and directly attacked the kings of the dragon-human race. The generals of the Bailey clan were all shocked. It's Xia. What's going on? Has he gone mad? He actually attacked alone. Quick, call him back. Even if 100-kilometer city is destroyed and the entire Bailey clan is annihilated, we can't let Xia die. He's the hope of the human race. Bai Lihu and the others turned pale with fright. They didn't expect Xia Ping to charge out alone at this moment. He was going to face hundreds of kings of the dragon-human race alone. Wasn't he courting death? In their eyes, Xia Ping was an expert who had a chance of becoming an emperor, so he definitely couldn't die here. Chapter 1277. An expert from a human race has come alone. Haha, is he here to die? I didn't think there would be such a fool in the human race. Let's just kill him. I don't care if he's stupid or not. Right? Let's kill one first to intimidate the others. The Dragonoid kings saw Xia Ping and burst into laughter. They looked at him with disdain, but they did not stop moving. They spread out naturally and surrounded him. They did not care if this human brat was stupid or not. They just wanted to kill him first. Damn it, let's go. We can't let Xia die. Hurry up. Bai Lihu and the others were anxious and wanted to help. Finally, I have a chance to show off. Let's get rid of these Dragonoid kings first to repay the Bailey clan. Compared to the anxiety of Bai Lihu and the others, Xia Ping was very calm. He walked casually and faced the Dragonoid kings with his bare fists. His divine sense spread out, covering 1,000 miles. Everything was within the range of his mind. Saint-level skill, star guiding art. Rumble. In an instant, Xia Ping took a step forward. The entire sky seemed to darken. Stars appeared one after another. There were 9 of them, and they rotated with the power of the stars. With his body as the center, a terrifying gravity was produced. It was as if the entire ground was being crushed. What? The Dragonoid kings were shocked. They immediately felt as if they were carrying a mountain on their backs. Even moving a step was an extremely difficult thing to do. Moreover, this gravity covered 1,000 miles. No matter where they ran, they could not escape. The weaker draconian kings were immediately pressed to the ground by the terrifying gravity. Their bones cracked under the pressure, and even breathing became extremely difficult. It was not just the Dragonoid kings. Even the human kings were attacked indiscriminately. They felt the terrifying gravity and were unable to move. However, the human kings were not targeted by Xia Ping, so they did not feel very uncomfortable. Too strong. Bai Lihu and the others were all shocked. This was the first time they had seen Xia Ping show his true strength. But the moment he made a move, they were shocked. He had merely taken a step forward, yet the 100 draconian kings could not move at all. What kind of might was this? What kind of divine ability was this? Damn it, I can't. This gravity is too terrifying. It's like carrying a mountain on my back. What kind of martial Tao divine power is this? Why is it so powerful and so vast? How come I've never seen this human king before? Where did he come from? The other Dragonoid kings were also shocked. As soon as Xia Ping made his move, he displayed a power that they could not match. They could hardly breathe under the pressure. They had never thought that a human could be so powerful. If you want revenge, come and find me. Xia Ping looked indifferently at the group of Dragonfolk kings, because those 3 Dragonfolk kings were killed by me alone, and the group of Dragonfolk elites were also turned into meat pies by me with a single slap. What? Hearing this, Many of the draconian kings were shocked, especially Wester. His eyes were burning with murderous intent, and he wanted nothing more than to kill this damned human in front of him. You're not convinced? Don't worry. None of you can escape today. All of you will die, Xiaoping said indifferently, his tone very indifferent, as if he was saying something natural. He continued to take a step forward, and the gravity suddenly doubled. Bang! Immediately, a few of the weaker dragonoid kings could not withstand this force, and their organs were crushed on the spot. With a puff, they spat out a mouthful of blood. Dragon eyes! Immediately, the dragonoid kings roared angrily, their faces ferocious. Immediately, their bodies underwent earth-shattering changes, and their bodies doubled in size. Countless dragon scales appeared on their skin, and their heads turned into dragon heads. The two dragon horns became very thick, and a long dragon tail grew out. Their bodies emitted a powerful aura. This was the unique ability of the dragon folk, Dragon Eyes. Once the state of Dragon Eyes was achieved, the speed, power, and defense of the dragon folk would be twice as powerful as before. It was equivalent to being in a berserk state. However, this state could not be maintained for too long. If it was not a critical moment, they would not use Dragon Eyes. After all, once the state of Dragon Eyes ended, the dragon folk would be weakened for a period of time. During this period, the dragon folk would be at the mercy of others. Therefore, once they used Dragon Eyes, they had to kill their enemies, or else they would be killed. He actually used Dragon Eyes? Bai Lihu and the others narrowed their eyes. Usually, this group of dragon folk would only use Dragon Eyes in a critical moment of life and death, but now, these dragon folk had already used their final trump card. One could imagine that Xiaoping had only taken 2 steps, and he had forced the group of dragon folk into a life and death crisis. If they did not use their Dragon Eyes state, they would be crushed to death and turned into meat pies. Kill. In an instant, 2 or 3 dragonoid kings in Dragon Eyes state attacked. They formed a triangular formation, forming the dragon folk's 3 talents battle formation. In this battle formation, the strength of the 3 dragonoid kings could be maximized, and they could fuse the magical power of both sides. This power was not as simple as 1 + 1. They attacked from the north, south, east, and west, sealing off all of Xiaoping's escape routes. They reached out with their dragon claws, which seemed to tear the space apart, wanting to kill Xiaoping with one swipe. Great Yin-Yang tablet smashing palm. Xiaoping did not even look at them. The magical power in the space of the Purple Kingdom surged, and his blood boiled like lava. He slapped out with his palm. Immediately, a huge black and white hand appeared in the void. It was completely formed by Yin and Yang Qi, and it seemed to have turned into a millstone that looked like a Taiji diagram, crushing down from the sky. What? The expressions of the 3 dragonoid kings changed drastically. They felt that the huge black and white hand seemed to have sealed off the entire space, and at the same time, it produced a terrifying, devouring power. The power of Yin and Yang merged into everything, like a millstone that could destroy everything. In the face of such power, they had nowhere to hide. Boom! In the next second, the palms slapped down from the sky, slapping hard on the bodies of the 3 dragonoid kings. Yin and Yang Qi instantly covered them, tightly trapping them. Ah! The 3 of them let out shrill screams, like pigs being slaughtered. Their extremely tough dragonoid bodies were as fragile as tofu under the power of Yin and Yang. Their bones were cracking, destroyed by the power of Yin and Yang. With a crack, smoke and dust rose, and a 5-finger-deep pit was immediately formed in the ground. The ground cracked, and the cracks extended for several kilometers. The 3 dragonoid kings were also smashed into meat pies, dying on the spot. Chapter 1278. Bastard. Wester and the other dragonoid kings were dumbfounded. There were very few dragonoid kings to begin with, and the death of 3 had enraged the Dragon Great Emperor. He wanted to wipe out a human city as a show of strength. But before he could kill a single human, 3 dragonoid kings had already been slapped to death. Furthermore, they hadn't even managed to harm a single hair of their opponent. How humiliating was this? Go kill him. If 3 can't kill him, then come at me with 10. I don't believe that he can take on 100 alone and kill this arrogant human." Many of the dragonoid kings were enraged. They instantly transformed into dragons and broke free of Xia Ping's gravity field. Their powerful physical strength burst forth as they charged at Xia Ping. Dragon raises its head. Immediately, 5 dragonoid kings charged at him. They split into 5 different directions as the dragon power in their bodies spread out and fused together, forming a small matrix. Vaguely, this huge dragon power formed a dragon's head. It was as if a real dragon was raising its head, emitting terrifying might. The ground was torn apart by this power, and rumbling sounds could be heard. Dragon swings its tail. Another 5 dragonoid kings charged at him. They worked together, and their dragon power vibrated and fused together. It seemed to have transformed into a dragon's tail that swept towards Xia Ping. This dragon tail was extremely terrifying. It was like a whip that could sweep down the stars, and also like a whip that could strike down gods. It contained unparalleled sharpness that could even break a river. It could be said that this was truly a whip that could cut off the flow. No matter how confident Xia Ping was, he couldn't ignore the attacks of the 10 dragonoid kings. Hell's Demon Suppression Spear. In an instant, he took out a weapon that came from Hell, the Hell's Demon Suppression Spear. The moment this spear appeared, with it as the center, a huge amount of hellish chi immediately filled the air, as if a demon from Hell had emerged from the gates of Hell. At this moment, the entire world seemed to have turned into darkness. Even the radiance of the sun in the sky was covered. Vaguely, demonic chi surged, as if there were countless demons howling from Hell. What a powerful demonic chi! Many of the generals of the Bailey clan were shocked. They could feel endless darkness from this demonic chi, as if they would fall into the boundless hell if they came into contact with it. This was the first time they had felt such an evil aura. No, it's not as simple as devil chi. It seems to contain the aura of holiness, antiquity, suppression, chaos, and so on. It's even more ancient and unfathomable than devil chi. It's the power of Hell. Bai Lihu's pupils contracted. If it was just demonic energy, then its characteristics would be madness, corrosion, and chaos. However, the aura of Hell was different. It was darker, pure, and boundless, a darkness that could devour any light. It was not just Bai Lihu. Even some of the more powerful draconian kings could sense this. This dark aura contained boundless nobility and supremacy. Xia Ping gripped the Hell Spear and imbued a huge amount of magic power into it. The entire spear trembled slightly, as though the feeling of holding the spear was different from before. When he infused the mystic power into it, the Hell Spear's body seemed to be covered in numerous hellish runes. It was blood-red in color, as if it was formed from blood. There seemed to be black ants wriggling on it, emanating a powerful force. Vaguely, it seemed like a demon god deep within the Hell Spear was about to awaken. Does this Hell Spear have a weapon spirit? Xia Ping guessed. He felt that such a powerful treasure could not possibly not have a weapon spirit. It was just in a state of hibernation for some reason. Now, as he grew stronger, the weapon spirit of the Hell Spear seemed to be slowly awakening as well, increasing the Hell Spear's power. Kill! Xia Ping did not think too much. He gripped the Hell's Spear tightly and attacked the Draconian Kings. Hellish Martial Art. Hell's Suppressing Demon Spear. In an instant, a huge black spear shadow appeared in the air. There were many hellish runes on it, as though it contained the power of demons from Hell. Dong! The spear collided with the dragon's head and exploded. The dragon's head seemed to be unable to withstand the terrifying power of Hell and let out a shrill roar. The demons from Hell were even biting the dragon's head and devouring the dragon's power. How is this possible? The 5 Draconian Kings were shocked. They had thought that the power of their dragon raising its head would be enough to suppress everything. They did not expect the opponent's power to be more terrifying than all of them combined. When the power surged, it was as though the endless yellow springs of Hell were drowning them, wave after wave, stacking on top of each other and seeping into their lungs. It was impossible to resist. In the next second, they coughed up blood on the spot. The dragon's head, conjured by magical power, cracked and fell into pieces. Their entire bodies were sent flying. Their lungs were severely injured, and they smashed into the ground, creating a huge crater. In the blink of an eye, the other 5 draconian kings charged over. Their huge dragon whips shone with golden light like whips. They descended from the sky with terrifying penetrative power, tearing through the void. The golden dragon whips came crashing down, weighing more than 10,000 tons. It was like a mountain that weighed billions of tons was descending. Moreover, it was extremely fast, giving Xiaoping almost no time to react. Kill! Xiaoping's eyes were calm like a pool of water. He reacted quickly and gripped the hell's spear tightly, sweeping it at the other 5 draconian kings. As though he was sweeping through a mountain, vast magical power surged out of his body. Dong! The spear and the dragon whips collided, and immediately there was a shocking sound of collision. Like a comet hitting the earth, there were intense sparks and clanging sounds. The power of hell and the power of dragons collided. It was as though ancient powers had crossed the river of time to fight. In the depths of the void, there seemed to be a battle between a demon from hell and a dragon god. The aftermath of the collision of the 2 powers instantly spread to both sides. But Xiaoping was indifferent. This power was easily blocked by his Northern Dart protective technique. But the bodies of the 5 draconian kings were not so strong. They could not withstand such a vast power at all. It was as though they had been hit by a demon. Their bodies produced thousands of tremors and destructive attacks, and they were all sent flying into the distance. Bang, bang, bang. All of them flew for more than 10 kilometers in the air. In the end, they all smashed into mountains, causing more than 10 mountains to collapse and the rocks to turn into powder. And their bodies had also suffered extremely serious injuries. The Hell Spear, with a stab and a smash, had seriously injured the 10 draconian kings. Some were dead, some were maimed. Be it the draconian kings or the human kings, all of them stared with their eyes wide open in disbelief. Chapter 1279. Hiss. Many of the generals of the Bailey clan were shocked and gasped. They had wanted to step forward to help, but they did not expect the 10 kings of the Dragon Men to be defeated on the spot in an instant. Even if they wanted to help, they did not have the time to do so. Moreover, the battle was so intense that they could not find any opportunity to join in. If they joined in rashly, they would ruin Xia Ping's rhythm. Oh my God, is he still a king? Could Xia have already advanced to the emperor level? How could the 10 Dragonborn kings not be his match? A general of the Bailey clan was shocked. He suspected that Xia Ping had already stepped into the emperor level. Otherwise, how could he have such powerful combat strength and easily defeat the 10 Dragonborn kings? No, he is not at the emperor level. Once one steps into the emperor level, he will be able to control the power of heaven and earth. His body will form a formation, and his magic power will grow endlessly. However, Xia does not have this ability. He is purely relying on his own strength and is unable to control the power of heaven and earth, Bailey who said in a low voice. At first, he also thought that Xia Ping had stepped into the emperor level, but after careful observation, he found that Xia Ping was still at the king level. You must be joking. When did the combat strength of a king level become so terrifying? Is he still human? Monsters are nothing more than this. Many generals of the Bailey clan could not help but gulp. There were also human experts who had stepped into the king level, but they did not know that a king-level expert could have such powerful combat strength. He could beat up a whole group of people. After watching this battle, they all suspected that Xia Ping could challenge an emperor-level expert. Unlike the many experts of the human race who were shocked, the kings of the dragon human race were enraged. 10 kings of the dragon human race had been easily injured by a human race expert. Some were dead, some were crippled, and this was a great humiliation. It had always been the experts of the dragon human race who outnumbered their opponents. When had they ever been outnumbered by the human race? Now, the dragon human race seemed to be very weak. If they did not attack together, it would not be because the enemy was weak. If the kings of Dragon God City knew about this, they would definitely become a laughing stock and be regarded as inferior kings. Otherwise, how could they be beaten to such an extent by a mere king of the human race? Kill him. Immediately, the dozen or so draconian kings looked at each other and made up their minds. No matter what, they would not let this human who had killed so many draconian kings leave alive. This was not only for their reputation, but also for the future of the dragon human race. He had such terrifying combat power, even though he had yet to advance to the martial emperor realm. If this human really stepped into the martial emperor realm, it would be the end of the dragon human race. No one knew better than the dragon human race what it felt like to be a weak race. Profound meaning, dragon horn. In an instant, the 20 dragonoid kings joined forces. They naturally spread out and stood in different positions, forming a huge battle formation. Dragon power emanated from each other. Rumble, immediately, this power gathered together and actually condensed into a dragon's horn in midair. It was incomparably huge and contained a terrifying sharpness and penetrative power. It was as if a true dragon had awoken at this moment. Its horns seeped out from the void. This kind of power could penetrate through everything. No one could resist it. What? He actually used the dragon horn? Isn't this one of the secret techniques of the dragon human race? The pupils of Bailihu and the others shrank. They knew very well how terrifying this secret technique was. They remembered that there was once a human city that had a powerful formation set up, but the dragon human race used the secret technique, the dragon horn, to gather the power of 100 dragonoid kings. With just one attack, the entire human city was pierced through by this horn. All the humans living in the city were strangled by the dragon power, and even the city lord was pierced on the spot. He could not resist it. This was a secret technique of war that was specially used to pierce through cities, but it was used against a human king. This kind of behavior was too exaggerated. Swish, 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 swish. The 20 dragonoid kings charged over. Each of them seemed to have turned into a dragon's horn as they charged forward madly, tearing through the void and surrounding Yi Fuqian from all directions. This was a secret technique of the noble sacrifice. It gave up all defense and focused all its power on offense, just to kill the enemy. One could imagine how terrifying this attack was. Xiaoping's pupils shrank. He could also feel how terrifying this attack was. It had already reached the level of the treasure refinement realm and could kill all cultivators of the divine realm. This was a killing technique that was created purely to kill the enemy. The dragon's horn contained the power of a vortex and penetrative power. This was the essence of power. Although these dragonoid kings did not understand the mystery behind this technique, it did not stop them from using it. This attack was more terrifying than ordinary people could imagine. It's indeed a good move, but it's useless if it can't hit the enemy. Xiaoping was unmoved because he did not intend to take this attack head-on. He wanted to kill his opponent from afar. Spiritual secret technique, Lion's Vajra seal. In an instant, Xiaoping formed a seal with both hands, and a divine talisman immediately emerged from his body. It was golden, and there seemed to be a lion from the divine mountain residing in the depths of the talisman. Immediately, this divine lion stepped out from the depths of the talisman. It was covered in golden fur, and many ancient characters appeared on it. It gave off a noble, great, unfathomable, and indescribably noble aura. The moment it appeared, it was like a king had come out of the mountains, and it had the power to make everyone submit to it. Roar! The divine lion stepped on the void with its 4 hooves and roared at the sky. It let out an angry roar, and the sound waves came one after another. These sound waves even transformed into unique talismans and musical notes that resonated with the sound power of heaven and earth. They possessed an extremely terrifying vibrational power that was enough to destroy everything. Oh no! The 20 dragonoid kings' expressions changed drastically. They felt an unprecedented sense of danger. Layer after layer of spiritual waves in the void flooded over like a tidal wave. This was not a physical attack, but an attack on the spiritual level that came from the soul. Under normal circumstances, they might have been able to block this attack with the powerful spiritual power of the dragonoid race. However, it was different now. In order to use the dragon's horn, they had abandoned all defenses on their bodies. Their magic power, divine sense, dragon power, and other powers gathered at one point to attack their enemy. Therefore, they were unable to resist this attack that came from the soul level. The speed of the soul attack was far too fast, and it was much faster than ordinary attacks. In the blink of an eye, the spiritual waves that resembled the lion's roar engulfed their souls. Bam, bam, bam! The dragonoid kings seemed to have been immobilized, and they were hit by this power. Their souls were instantly destroyed, and their eyes, which had been brimming with battle intent, turned into ashes. At the same time, because of the destruction of their soul power, they were unable to control the chaotic magic power in their bodies, and they went berserk. Boom! Chapter 1280. No, no, no. Wester and the other dragon human kings were so shocked that their eyes almost popped out of their sockets, and they almost vomited blood. 20 dragon human kings, a total of 20 dragon human kings. Who knew how much time and resources the dragon human race had to spend to nurture them? But now, he had been killed in an instant, and not even his corpse was left. This was a loss that the dragon human race could not bear. Bastard, human, you and I are absolutely irreconcilable. I won't rest until one of us dies. A draconian king roared at the sky, filled with grief and indignation. Tears of blood flowed from his eyes. Damn it, the dragon horn doesn't work on this human. This bastard knows spiritual attacks, which happens to be the bane of the dragon horn secret technique. I was killed before I even got close to this human. How am I supposed to fight? Damn it. How can this human know secret spirit technique? Didn't they say that there are very few people who know this kind of secret spirit technique? Many draconian kings gritted their teeth and clenched their fists. They were now extremely regretful. If they had known that Xia Ping knew secret spirit techniques, they would definitely not have used such a secret technique. In the end, not only did they not manage to kill the person, but they also lost 20 of their companions. Up until now, they had lost 30% of their dragonoid kings. Even when they had attacked human cities in the past, they had never lost so many kings. What should we do? Do we have no choice but to watch this bastard do whatever he wants? A Dragonman king gnashed his teeth and glared at Xia Ping with extreme hatred. However, ordinary attacks were useless against this human king. Even a secret technique like the dragon horn had been easily broken, causing them to suffer heavy losses. There's no other way. We can only use the wrath of the dragon god and burn this human demon to death. Wester's eyes flashed with a cold light as he voiced his opinion. The eyes of all the dragonoid kings lit up when they heard this. The so-called dragon god's wrath was that their bodies contained a trace of dragon fire. Although this kind of dragon fire was far inferior to a real dragon god, it still contained a trace of the true dragon fire's destructive characteristics. Once it erupted, it was enough to incinerate an entire city. It would not stop until everything was burnt to a crisp. If they worked together and released the dragon fire in their bodies at the same time, they could immediately condense a huge ball of dragon fire and burn their enemies to death in an instant. This was one of the dragon human race's trump cards. Until now, they didn't even know how many enemies they had killed by using this move in a last-minute counterattack. More often than not, the enemy would be unknowingly struck by a trace of dragon fire, and as a result, they would be burned alive and turned into ashes. This kind of flame ignored the difference in strength and was purely created for destruction. Even an emperor-level master felt a trace of fear towards the dragon fire. This was the wrath of the dragon god. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. They looked at each other. There was no need for them to waste any words, and they immediately took action. 79 draconian kings appeared, and they were distributed in different positions. These draconian kings circulated their magic power and activated their bloodline power. Immediately, a scarlet flame emerged from their bodies and appeared on their fingertips. Although this scarlet flame looked very weak, as if it could be extinguished at any time, it was still very powerful. However, it gave off a heart-palpitating aura, as if there was a true dragon residing within it, possessing terrifying destructive power. Not good. Those draconian kings are planning to use the dragon god's fury. On the distant city wall, Bai Han's sharp eyes immediately saw through the move that the draconian kings were planning to use. For him, who had dealt with the dragon human race for so many years, he was well aware of the trump cards that the draconian kings had, and the dragon god's fury was a terrifying move that made people tremble with fear. Not long ago, countless human experts had failed miserably when they had a huge advantage and were killed by the dragon god's fury. They died very sullenly. Bastard, you can't beat Xia Ping, so you're using such a sinister move. Immediately tell Xia Ping not to take this move, or he will definitely be burned alive. Bai Lihu's expression changed. He was burning with anxiety as he gave the order. He was worried that Xia Ping would not know the severity of the situation and take the dragon fire head-on. No one knew better than him how terrifying the dragon god's fury of the dragon human race was. His father was once a peak king, but he was also counterattacked by a draconian king at the last minute and used the dragon fire. As a result, his entire body was burned to ashes, and no matter what method he used, he could not extinguish the flames. This was not a flame of the mortal world. It was truly inherited from the dragon god, and it was the power of a god. Dragon fire? Xia Ping's eyes lit up when he felt the flames coming from the draconian king. He could feel the golden crow of hell's bloodline in his body stirring. It was filled with greed, desire, and desire to devour. One must know that the golden crow of hell's bloodline rarely desired anything. It was like a high and mighty god, and it had no interest in anything in the mortal world. But now it was interested in the dragon fire, and it had a desire to devour it. It was obvious that the dragon fire would be extremely beneficial to the bloodline in his body. Without a doubt, the dragon fire was like the fire of drought demon, the fire of life, the essence of the sun, and other flames. It was one of the rare flames of the world, and it possessed terrifying power. However, this was only to other life forms. To Xia Ping, who had the golden crow of hell's bloodline, these rare flames were food for him to devour. He was the master of all flames. Die, human! Receive the dragon god's fury. You unclean existence! Go to hell, go to hell! In an instant, dozens of draconian kings were finally ready. They refined the dragon fire in their bodies and gathered it together to form a fist-sized crimson fireball. The crimson fireball rumbled as it spun, and there seemed to be a true dragon in the depths of the fireball. The flames burned all around it, and it emitted extremely high heat, distorting light and devouring everything. Swish! Under the control of the draconian king, the crimson fireball was extremely fast, and it smashed towards Xia Ping's body like an accurate missile. Oh no, it's over. Xia Ping is finished. Bai Lihu and the others wanted to warn Xia Ping not to take the dragon god's fury head-on and that he had to dodge it. But the draconian king was simply too fast, and they could not do anything even if they wanted to. What made them even more alarmed was that Xia Ping was foolishly standing where he was, and he did not move at all, as if he intended to take the attack head-on. This made them feel even more hopeless, and they thought that Xia Ping did not know how terrifying these flames were. Haha, foolish human. To think that he wants to take the dragon god's fury head-on. What a foolish fellow. Even our draconian race would not dare to take it head-on, for fear of being burned to death. This human is finally finished. He'll turn into ashes the moment he comes into contact with the dragon fire. We've finally killed this monster-like human and eliminated a great enemy for our draconian race. Die! All lowly humans who oppose our draconian race must die. Chapter 1281. Swish! The crimson fireball arrived beside Xia Ping in an instant, and Xia Ping could feel the excitement in his bloodline, as if it was cheering and jumping for joy. Burn! Burn him to death! Burn this heretic to death! The group of draconian kings shouted excitedly. They wanted to see the scene of Xia Ping being burned to death by the dragon god's fury. He would be bathed in flames, and every cell in his body would be incinerated. No matter how he struggled, no matter how he rolled on the ground, he could not extinguish the flames. He would be burned alive and turned into ashes. It's over, he's dead. A peerless genius of a human race, a future emperor-level expert, has died just like that. I, Bai Lihu, am a sinner. Bai Lihu looked up to the sky and howled in grief and indignation. The other generals of the Bailey clan were also regretting and felt extremely pained. Losing a future emperor-level expert was even more painful than losing a human city. This was a loss that the human race could not bear. Pow! When the crimson fireball arrived beside Xiaoping, he finally could not hold back anymore. He grabbed the fireball and stuffed it into his mouth, swallowing it in one gulp. He even slurped it a few times, as if it was some delicious ice cream. Bai Lihu and the others were still howling in grief, but when they saw Xiaoping's actions, they could not help but blink and rub their eyes, as if they could not believe what they were seeing. Because in their eyes, not only was Xiaoping not burned to death by the dragon fire, but he had also grabbed him with one hand and stuffed him into his mouth, chewing on him. They could not understand the situation at all. Their minds were in a state of short-circuiting and blank. Oh my God, what's going on? Why didn't the dragon fire burn this bastard to death? And he actually ate it. This bastard ate our dragon fire. One of the draconian kings was on the verge of breaking down and yelling in disbelief. It was not only this draconian king, but the other draconian kings were also in the same state. They were all dumbfounded. To be honest, the draconian race had existed on the dragon god continent for tens of thousands of years and had fought against countless races. The power of the dragon fire was simply omnipotent, and it could turn everything into nothingness. However, they had never seen anyone eat their dragon fire as if it were ice cream. It was too exaggerated. Since when did the dragon fire become delicious food for others? Are you kidding me? That's dragon fire, a flame that can burn everything. How could it be eaten alive by this guy? The group of dragonoid kings was going crazy. No words could describe their current feelings. They could only say that they had seen a ghost. Eating dragon fire as food? Was he still human? It must be an illusion. This is definitely an illusion. Did that guy activate some kind of mental secret technique before he died, causing us to be unable to extricate ourselves from the illusion? A draconian king cried out, feeling that he might have fallen for the enemy's illusions, which was why he could see such a scene that defied common sense. It was too inconceivable. Wester did not know what to say. He had never seen anything like this before. How comfortable. At this moment, Xiaoping swallowed the fist-sized dragon fire. He immediately felt the flames flowing down his throat, and then quickly entering his stomach. Then, the golden crow of hell's stomach quickly digested and absorbed this ball of flame. The enormous flame energy instantly fused into his limbs and bones, entering the depths of his blood vessels. Rumble, suddenly, a strange flame appeared in the depths of his dantian. This was the dragon fire. This flame looked like a small dragon, soaring through the clouds and lying lazily in the depths of his dantian. Beneath this calm exterior, there was an extraordinary destructive power hidden within. What a strong power of the strange flame. Xiaoping's eyes lit up. If the essence of the sun was said to be a flame of extreme yang, having the power to burn all pure yin substances, the fire of life contained a huge amount of life energy, able to promote the growth of all things. The spiritual fire of the earth was a strange flame from the depths of volcanoes. It had the power to melt all things into lava. Its specialty was to burn and not extinguish. The fire of drought was to infect, spread, drought, and evaporate water from all things. Each of these strange flames had its own specialty, and each had its own ability. The specialty of a dragon fire was destruction. It was a flame that was born purely for destruction. It could completely shatter matter into atoms. This was an extremely destructive flame that could even destroy souls. Whoosh! When the dragon fire entered the depths of his body, Xiaoping felt that the golden crow of hell bloodline in the depths of his body was further stimulated. The cells of the golden crow of hell were unsealed, turning into a large amount of energy that entered his limbs and bones. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. In total, he had unsealed 5,000 golden crow of hell cells. The blood in his body surged like lava. Many golden crow characters seemed to appear, and a trace of noble golden flame appeared in the depths of his blood. Obviously, after obtaining the dragon fire, the golden crow of hell bloodline in his body had been further enhanced. Not bad, Flame. The taste is not bad. Do you have more? Xiaoping blinked and burped. He looked at the group of dragonoid kings with longing. Damn, this be***starred really ate it. Hearing this, Wester and the other dragonoid kings were going crazy. This be***starred had eaten the dragon fire that they had worked so hard to activate, and now he was still not satisfied. He wanted to do it again. This special flame could only be activated once every few years, and it could only be recovered after several years. How could he do it once? What did he think it was? Therefore, the dragon fire was their trump card, and they would not use it easily. But many dragonoid kings were on the verge of breaking down. What was the structure of this guy's body? Why couldn't even a dragon fire kill this be***starred? They felt as if they had really met the natural enemy and nemesis of the dragonoid race. Seems like there's no more. Then you guys are useless. Xiaoping looked at the expressions of the dragonoid kings and knew that they could no longer use these flames. He immediately lost interest in them. Since they could no longer use the dragon fire, they were useless. Boom! He immediately attacked and punched at the group of dragonoid kings. Theurgy Sun God Fist. A terrifying theurgy that combined 4 kinds of extraordinary flames immediately burst out. Hundreds of fist marks appeared in the air, all condensed from extraordinary flames and containing the destructive power of extraordinary flames. These fist marks fell from the sky like meteorites, covering all the dragonoid kings. They were like countless missiles descending, bombarding the area with saturation attacks. There was nowhere to hide. Rumble, hundreds of flaming fist prints exploded like nuclear bombs, immediately erupting with earth-shattering explosions, causing the sky to collapse and the earth to crack. A several-kilometer-deep pit was immediately blasted out, hundreds of tons of soil splashed out, and a large earthquake cracked. Chapter 1282. However, the scariest part of the Sun God Fist was not the power of the fist, but the power of the mystical fire. As the fist exploded, the flames also broke apart and spread in all directions, covering a radius of more than 10 kilometers in an instant, turning the area into a sea of fire. Damn it, what kind of flames are these? Why can't I break free? Dragon fire. Could this human have also mastered dragon fire? Help! Help! Hurry up and save me. Many dragonoid kings cried out. The terrifying mystical fire covered their bodies and immediately began to burn fiercely. It would not stop until they were burned to ashes. At this time, they truly felt the horror of being attacked by dragon fire. Their bodies were surrounded by flames, and every cell was burning. Even their souls were being burned by the flames, causing continuous damage. However, no matter how they struggled, they were burned by the flames. After a few breaths, 30 to 40 dragonoid kings were burned to ashes, leaving only a pile of dust on the ground. When the wind blew, they disappeared from this world. Even when these dragonoid kings died, the flames did not stop burning, turning the area into a sea of fire. Even the rocks were burned into magma, flowing everywhere, and the temperature rose rapidly. Oh my God, could Xia also have mastered the power of dragon fire? No, this is a little different from dragon fire, but it is equally scary. There is nothing it cannot burn. How tragic. Once these dragonoid kings were surrounded by the flames, they were burned to death. They could not escape even if they wanted to. Giving them a taste of their own medicine, these dragonoid kings also ended up like this. Bai Lihu and the others were extremely excited. Not only did Xiaoping not die after encountering dragon fire, but he had also used the terrifying flames to kill more than half of the dragonoid kings. His battle record was impressive, and the situation had been reversed. If this battle record were to be spread, it would definitely shock the world, and his name would be known throughout the ages. They could all imagine how big of a commotion it would cause if today's events were to be leaked. "Human, I will kill you," Wester roared, and his whole body attacked like lightning. He held a long spear in his hand and gave off an aura of death. In a few breaths, he was close to Xiaoping. "Wester wants to commit suicide?" Bai Li Hu and the others were stunned. Just now, 10 Dragonoid Kings were no match for Xiaoping, even if they joined forces. Even if Wester was stronger, what could he do to Xiaoping? Xiaoping's actions were clearly suicidal. Die. At that moment, Wester looked as if his plan had succeeded. He waved his hand, and a bead appeared in his hand. It seemed to be filled with the aura of space. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Immediately, a dozen or so figures emerged from the void. They were all Dragonoid Kings, and they were ready for battle, as if they had long been prepared. Space-type magic treasure. Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. He didn't expect this group of Dragonians to have spatial treasures on them. He guessed that these Dragonoid Kings were hiding in a spatial treasure just now. When Wester got close, Wester would release them to surround and kill him. Once 20 Draconian Kings got close, the enemy would definitely die. He would not be able to escape. This was a sure kill move. Oh no! In the distance, the generals of the Bailey clan were shocked. They had also seen the sudden appearance of a dozen or so Dragonoid Kings. How could they not know that Xiaoping had fallen into the enemy's trap and was in a dead end? Wester gritted his teeth, and a murderous look appeared in his eyes. The original plan was to break into the Bailey city and destroy the city's formation. At the crucial moment, he would release 20 Dragonoid Kings from his body and kill the generals of the Bailey city instantly. However, at this time, if they didn't kill this demon human, they would be completely finished. Even if they couldn't destroy the Bailey city, they had to kill this terrifying human. Once he stepped into the Emperor realm, the future of the Dragonians would be very dangerous. Kill. The 20 Dragonoid Kings who suddenly appeared had ferocious looks on their faces. Their bodies were filled with terrifying magical power, and it was obvious that they had been accumulating power for a long time to carry out this sure-kill attack. Rumble, dragon power gathered in midair and transformed into many giant golden dragons. They roared wildly and pounced towards Xiaoping, wanting to tear him apart. This power was so strong that it was comparable to an attack from a beginner of the treasure refining realm. Even a city would be destroyed in an instant. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Xiaoping didn't move, but the golden slime on his body immediately sensed danger. Slime. The golden slime called out, and it immediately split into countless blades. Under the sunlight, these blades emitted a terrifying cold light and formed a mountain of swords. The blades stabbed out, and clanging sounds could be heard. It was as if many swordsmen were attacking, and they pierced through the sky. The sharpness of the blades seemed to be able to tear the earth apart. Dong! With just one attack, these countless blades pierced through the bodies of these Dragonoid Kings. What? These Dragonoid Kings widened their eyes, and large amounts of blood seeped from the corners of their mouths. Before they could even get within a few meters of Xiaoping, their bodies were pierced by the extended blades, and they turned into beehives. Many bloody holes appeared on their bodies. The Dragonoid scales that they were so proud of could not withstand the sharpness of these blades. Their bodies were as fragile as tofu, and they were easily pierced through, causing large amounts of blood to flow out. Immediately, they felt waves of intense pain, and their consciousness quickly fell into darkness. No, no, no. Seeing this, Wester couldn't help but scream. He was crazy, and his eyes were wide open. His surprise ambush was to kill Xiaoping. But now, he couldn't even get close to him. The 20 Dragonoid Kings were killed on the spot, and their bodies were pierced with dozens of bloody holes. It was as if thousands of blades had pierced their bodies. Where did these blades come from? Don't tell me it's another powerful magic treasure? Bai Li Hu and the others' eyes were popping out. They felt that Xiaoping's combat power was not only abnormal, but he also had countless treasures on him. He was armed to the teeth. No matter how much these Dragonoid Kings struggled, they couldn't hurt Xiaoping at all. Die! Xiaoping didn't care how shocked Wester was. His body flashed, and he moved forward like lightning. In an instant, He was in front of Wester, and he hit him with a backhand palm. Oh no! Wester's expression changed. He felt a great danger, and he tried to escape quickly, but it was too late. Xiaoping slapped Wester's head with the back of his hand. The force was like the weight of Mount Tai or the impact of a comet. Boom! It was just a palm, but it was a powerful force. It smashed Wester's head into a pile of meat paste, and it exploded like a watermelon. Chapter 1283. It's over. Wester has also been killed. Over 100 Dragonoid kings came this time, but 70 to 80 of them have died. How are we supposed to fight them? Damn it. What kind of monster is this human? Is he an Emperor-level expert? Even if he hasn't reached the Emperor level, he has the battle strength of an Emperor-level expert. We are no match for this human. Retreat immediately. Otherwise, we will all be wiped out. The expressions of the remaining Dragonoid kings changed drastically. They knew that it was impossible to win the battle at this stage. If they continued to stay here, they would only end up being wiped out. They had not expected such a thing to happen. This time, they had mobilized so many people to destroy a city of the human race. They wanted to kill the chicken to scare the monkey and deter the human race from acting rashly. However, not only had their plan failed, but they had also lost so many Dragonoid kings. It could be said that this plan had failed completely. Whoosh! Whoosh! Although the Dragonoid kings were very unwilling, they quickly gave the order to retreat. Bai Lihan's eyes were sharp. He immediately saw the movements of the Dragonoid army. The Dragonoid army is retreating. How can they not retreat after Xia killed so many Dragonoid kings? Even if they continue to stay here, they will still be killed. 70 to 80 Dragonoid kings have died. How many years will it take for the Dragonoid race to produce so many Dragonoid kings? This time, we made the Dragonoid race lose a mouthful of teeth. I will remember it well. Haha, this is the consequence of invading the human race's territory. The Bailey clan generals were very proud of themselves. They had vented their anger. They had not experienced such a great victory for a long time. In the past, they had always been beaten by the Dragonoid race and suppressed in the human race's cities. They had been extremely sullen. How could they have achieved such a great victory without a single death? What are you still talking about? Attack immediately and wipe out the Dragonoid army. Beat them when they are down, City Lore by Lihu shouted and gave the order. Hearing this, the eyes of the surrounding Bailey clan generals lit up. They were the best at beating a dog when it was down. Previously, the Dragonoid army had the advantage in numbers, but now they had the advantage in numbers. Without the support of the Dragonoid kings, the ordinary Dragonoid army was no match for them. Yes, attack. Wipe out the Dragonoid army. Kill. Immediately, the city gate of the Bailey city opened, and countless human warriors moved out, especially the generals of the Bailey clan. They took the lead and chased after the remaining dragon human kings. Not good, Run. Damned humans. We'll definitely be back. Report to the Great Emperor immediately. A monstrous human expert has appeared here. He must be eliminated as soon as possible. Xiaoping of the human race, I've remembered you. In the future, we will not rest until one of us is dead. This enmity is irreconcilable. The expressions of the remaining dragon human kings changed drastically. Now, not only did they have to deal with a monstrous human race expert, but they also had to deal with the commander of the 100-mile city. How could they resist? Even so, the hatred in their hearts was monstrous, and they swore that they would definitely return with their troops. Not only would they slaughter the entire 100-mile city, but they would also kill Xiaoping and his clansmen to avenge themselves. Without another word, they immediately fled into the distance, using all their strength and even burning their qi and blood. They were afraid that if they were a step too late, they would be killed by the human powerhouses. Trying to escape? Is it that easy? Xiaoping's eyes gleamed coldly. Even though these dragon human kings did not pose too much of a threat to him, he did not intend to let the tiger return to the mountain. Those who became his enemies must die. Mystical ability, Rock Steps. Using the rock steps, he turned into a rock, blending into the void and controlling the airflow. His speed was so fast that the naked eye could not see him clearly. Holding the hell spear in his hand, he was like a demon god from hell, charging towards the group of dragon-human kings. Dong! He approached the dragon-human kings, and with a light thrust, a dragon-human king was immediately pierced through. He was nailed in the air like a barbecue. Such power was like a tiger entering a flock of sheep. The dragon-human kings were as weak as babies and were slaughtered. No, no, no. Spare us, spare us. I surrender. Don't kill me, please don't kill me. Spare my life. I'll give you whatever you want. I have money, a lot of money. The dragon-human kings were all terrified. They no longer had any courage or thoughts of revenge. They kept begging for mercy, hoping that Xia Ping would spare their lowly lives. Mercy? Bai Li Hu and the others sneered. When the dragon-human race slaughtered the human race, why didn't they spare the human race? Back then, the dragon-human race was arrogant and domineering, running amok in the wild. Why didn't they spare the human race when they encountered the human race? Before, these dragon-human race people were still clamoring about slaughtering the entire 100-mile city, killing the men and making the women slaves. Now that they were weak, they wanted to beg for mercy. How could there be such a good thing in the world? Xia Ping did not show mercy. Holding the hell spear, he beheaded the dragon-human kings like a god of death, harvesting the lives of the living. After a while, all the dragon-human kings were beheaded. None of them could escape. As for the elite dragon-human army, without the protection of the dragon-human kings, they were just slightly larger ants in the face of the human race's king-level generals. They were nothing. In just an hour, the million dragon-human army was almost dead. Only a small portion of the elite dragon-human army saw that the situation was not good and quickly escaped from the battlefield. But it was not a big deal for these dragon-human soldiers to escape. We won. A general of the Bailey clan was extremely excited. He was still stained with the blood of the dragon-human race. He had not experienced such a one-sided battle before. When would the human race be able to chase the dragon-human race like dogs and scare them like stray dogs? If it was such a battle, he hoped that it would happen several times a day. Fortunately, Xia is here. Otherwise, we would be finished. By Li Hu's side, many generals of the Bailey clan nodded. If Xia Ping had not shown his prowess in this battle, even if the 100-mile city had not been breached, they would have suffered heavy casualties. They would not have been able to achieve such a complete victory. Moreover, they had also seized a large number of powerful weapons and armors left behind by the dragon-human army. They had made a huge profit. They looked at Xia Ping, who was standing in the distance, with great gratitude and reverence. Immediately report this news to the holy city. I believe they have been waiting for this news for a long time. Bai Li Hu said, yes, if the great emperors and elders of the holy city knew this news, they would probably be shocked. Bai Li Han smiled. The other generals of the Bailey clan also laughed, looking very relaxed. Chapter 1284. Dragon God City, a great hall. Many elders of the dragon-human race were gathered here. After all, it was a time of war between the human race and the dragon-human race. In times of war, they were also in a state of alert, constantly monitoring the movements of the great human emperor to prevent the dragon-human race from suffering heavy losses. However, the atmosphere in the Great Hall was still relatively relaxed, because they were only dealing with a human city, not a holy city. Therefore, this was a small matter. When do you guys think this war will end? An elder of the dragon-human race asked casually. Probably in a day. 1 day is enough to take care of the so-called 100-mile city. No, I think 6 hours is enough. After all, we have mobilized 100 dragon-human kings this time. Destroying a small human city is a piece of cake. You guys are still underestimating the human race. I think half a day is enough. Under the desperate resistance of a human race, they can still hold on for a while and cause some trouble for the dragon-human race army. Since we have different opinions, let's make a bet to see whose guess is correct. Interesting. Then I'll bet a dragon crystal that they can break through within 6 hours. TSK. The stakes are not small. All right, I'll bet a dragon crystal that they will need half a day to break through. Many elders of the dragon-human race were in high spirits, casually pointing out the situation. They all felt that the victory of the dragon human race army was not a big problem. The only problem was how long it would take for them to win. They all began to bet against each other, treating this as a game. Report. At this moment, a scout ran in hurriedly. He was extremely fast and ran into the great hall, drenched in sweat. Here they are. There's news in less than 6 hours. Looks like Wester and the rest have already broken through the human city. The dragon human race army has won a great victory. Looks like I've won this time. A dragon human elder laughed heartily because he had bet that the dragon human race army would win within 6 hours. In other words, he was the big winner, winning a large number of dragon crystals. Damn, it's only been less than 6 hours and there's already news. The human race army is too wasteful. Trash humans, they have no combat power at all. They can't even hold on for half a day. The human race is really a useless race. Don't they have anyone who can fight? The group of Dragon Man elders cursed and cursed, their hearts aching. It was because the humans had lost too quickly that they had lost a lot of dragon crystals. This was a huge loss. Even though they were elders of the dragon human race, it was extremely difficult for them to obtain a dragon crystal. Elder, no, it's not like that. The spy was sweating profusely and panicking. We lost. Wester and the rest were defeated by the humans. The million-strong Dragon Men army was annihilated, and the 100 Dragon Men kings were all killed. Not a single one was spared. Only a few thousand Dragon Men managed to escape with their lives. The rest were either captured or killed. It's a huge loss, a huge loss. What? At those words, the countless draconid elders in the hall fell silent, as if time had stopped. It was so quiet that even the dripping of water in the distance could be heard. They could not believe what they had just heard because it was too unbelievable. Not only did the Dragonman army not win within 6 hours, but they were even annihilated by the humans. What kind of joke was this? Bastard, how dare you lie about the military situation here? Don't you know that this is a serious crime? You should be executed. A Dragonid elder shouted with a murderous aura. He thought that the spy might be a spy of the human race, lying about the military situation and shaking the morale of the army. No, Elder, it's true. It's all true. The spy hurriedly said, I'm only the first spy, and I only brought back news of Wester's defeat. The other spies will come back one after another, and they can prove that what I said is true. As soon as he finished speaking, several spies appeared outside the hall. Report, Wester has been defeated, and the million Dragonmen kings have been annihilated. The million-strong Dragonmen army has been annihilated, and they were chased for 3,000 miles. Not even their corpses were left. The humans took advantage of this great victory and pursued the Dragonmen, breaking through 18 cities of the Dragonmen and killing countless Dragonmen. Flames of war are rising everywhere, and Dragon God City, please send reinforcements. One by one, the spies came back with this news. Countless elders in the hall were shocked. If the news brought back by one spy was false, then could the news brought back by so many spies be false? Impossible, a Dragonid elder shouted. The Dragonmen army is invincible, and no one is a match for them. Now they have the advantage in numbers, and they are bearing down on us. How powerful are the 100 Dragonmen kings? How could a mere city of 100 miles be able to destroy the elite troops of the Dragonmen? What happened? Did the great human emperor secretly make a move? He thought that it might be the work of a human emperor-level expert, which was why such a ridiculous thing had happened. Otherwise, with the power of the human 100-mile city, how could they have chased a million Dragonmen army for 3,000 miles? They were either killed or captured. No, there was only one person who killed the Dragonmen, and it wasn't the great human emperor. The spy immediately said, Who did it? Which bastard of the human race did it? A group of Dragonid elders roared in anger. His name is Xia Ping, and he seems to be a newly ascended king of the human race. The spy trembled. But that human is a demon, and his combat strength is terrifying. He could fight 100 people alone, and this time he single-handedly destroyed the 100 Dragonmen kings of Wester. His strength is terrifying beyond compare. He recalled what had happened on the battlefield and immediately shivered. That posture was that of a great emperor. Bulsh asterisk T, a dragonid elder scolded. A newly ascended king of the human race could kill 100 dragon men kings. Do you think that he is the resurrection of the dragon god? What a joke. He did not believe the spy's words at all. It's true. Many spies can testify for me. I swear to the dragon god. The spies swore to the heavens. All the elders fell silent. An oath to the dragon god was the highest oath to the dragon men, and it was impossible for them to lie. Xia Ping of the human race. At this moment, a drawn-out voice sounded from the depths of the main hall. The rhythm seemed to resonate with heaven and earth, reverberating back and forth in the main hall, containing supreme majesty. This man must be eliminated, or he will become a great threat to the dragon men. All the elders of the dragon men were solemn, because the person who spoke was the great emperor of the dragon men, the supreme ruler of the dragon men, and also the strongest expert of the dragon god continent. The dragon men must eliminate this man. The voice sounded again. Yes. Chapter 1285. In a great hall in the holy city of the human race. At this moment, countless human race elders had gathered in the great hall. The atmosphere was solemn and gloomy, and everyone's faces were filled with grief and indignation. Damn it, the 100-mile city is currently under attack by the dragon men, but we, as elders of the holy city, do nothing and watch our brothers of the human race being slaughtered by the dragon men. What a disgrace. A human race elder gritted his teeth indignantly. There's nothing we can do. The dragon men are eyeing our holy city covetously, and their main force is watching our holy city. If we dare to act rashly, they won't mind mobilizing their main force to destroy our holy city. We can die, but the holy city cannot be lost. Another white-haired elder shook his head and said helplessly. The other human race elders also clenched their fists. Similar situations had occurred many times, but they could only stay in the holy city every time and could not do anything. Without their help, the 100-mile city would most likely be in danger. Report. At this moment, a scout ran in from the outside at an extremely fast speed. What? How can there be news so quickly? Has the 100-mile city been destroyed? Many elders' expressions changed drastically. It had only been less than 6 hours since the battle began. Under normal circumstances, news should not have spread so quickly. Could it be that the power of the dragon men this time was beyond imagination, and the 100-mile city could not even withstand the attack for 6 hours? Speak. What's the situation in the 100-mile city? How many people survived? A human race elder asked. He did not ask if the battle was won, but only asked how many people could escape after the battle, and how many people could survive. He was extremely pessimistic. No, it's a great victory. The 100-mile city has defeated the Dragon Men army. The scout shouted excitedly. What? Hearing this, the human race elders were stunned. Their first reaction was not joy, but confusion, as if they did not understand what the scout was saying. Elders. However, the scout did not care what the elders thought and continued to shout excitedly. The million Dragon Men army, led by Wester, was chased by the 100-mile city army for 3,000 miles, and their corpses were strewn all over the place. At the same time, 100 Dragon Men kings also died in this battle. Without the protection of the Dragon Human King, the army of the 100-mile city broke through 18 cities of the Dragon human race and rescued many of our human brothers who had become slaves. They also plundered a large amount of wealth from the Dragon human race. He quickly told them the information he had obtained. A great victory in the Bailey city. It was only then that the elders present understood what the scout had said. The Dragon human race had not won this battle, but the humans had. They had even annihilated the million-strong Dragon human army. What's going on? How did they obtain such a great victory? A human elder asked curiously. He was well aware of the strength of the 100-mile city and knew that they definitely did not have the power to defeat the Dragon Men army. So why did such a situation occur? Because a hero of the human race, Xia, has suddenly appeared in the world. Supposedly, he's from a lowly background, and his strength has attained the peak of the king realm. However, his combat strength is formidable and is on par with the emperor realm. The scout replied, Xia alone defeated more than 100 dragon human kings of the dragon human race and scared Wester and the others. Not a single one of them managed to escape. That was why Bai's city was victorious. He was only at the king realm, but his combat strength was comparable to that of an emperor realm expert. The elders looked at each other. They felt that this news was even more shocking than the 100-mile city's victory and the destruction of the 18 cities of the dragon human race. This meant that another emperor realm expert might have appeared in the human race. This was an unprecedented event. Quick, go and investigate. I want to know what exactly happened. A white-haired elder immediately ordered. Although they were skeptical of the scout's words, and there might be some exaggeration, they knew that Bai's city had definitely won. Otherwise, the scout would not have sent back the news so quickly. As for whether or not such a powerhouse had really appeared, they still had to carefully investigate it. If this was true, then this would be a major event that would change the entire history of the human race. At this time, in a quiet room in the Bailey City Lord's residence, Xia Ping sat cross-legged in the quiet room and was cultivating. Through this battle, he had killed more than 100 dragon human kings and obtained 20 to 30 dragon crystals from them. This was a great harvest. After all, dragon crystals were extremely precious treasures, and only the dragon human race possessed them. Moreover, once the dragon human race obtained them, they would quickly use them to strengthen themselves. Therefore, it was extremely difficult to obtain them. Being able to obtain 20 to 30 dragon crystals was already a great benefit. According to the commander of the 100-mile city, the dragon crystals contained unimaginable effects. They could help people cultivate and quickly increase their magic power. They could also help people condense magical powers. It was extremely magical. Without saying anything, Xia Ping swallowed all the dragon crystals and sent them into his stomach. The infernal golden crow's stomach turned into a furnace and quickly digested the dragon crystals. Whoosh! Under the burning of the mystical fire, the dragon crystals melted and turned into a red liquid. This liquid appeared in the stomach like lava. It contained a huge amount of energy and seemed to have a trace of dragon power. Xia Ping's heart shook. When the dragon crystals melted, the red liquid entered his limbs and bones. It seemed to quickly integrate into his blood vessels and was about to turn his body into a dragon human. This was the power of the dragon blood. Its effects were extremely domineering. It was as if it wanted to expel the ordinary bloodlines in his body and turn him into a dragon human. He also understood why the dragon crystals were so precious. It turned out that they were the essence of the dragon blood. They contained domineering dragon blood energy. Once swallowed, the human body would be dragonized, making it several times stronger. It would increase one's aptitude and potential. This was also like bathing in the dragon blood. For the dragon human race, the effects of the dragon crystals were even more shocking. They could purify their bloodlines and evolve towards the direction of a true dragon. But when the dragon blood tried to expel the bloodlines in Xia Ping's body, a cry came from the depths of his body. Immediately, the image of an infernal golden crow appeared in the depths of his blood vessels. It gave off a noble, chaotic, majestic, and other aura. The dragon blood was also stimulated. It quickly turned into a huge dragon and roared at the sky, fighting against the infernal golden crow. Bang, bang, bang. The infernal golden crow and the dragon blood fought in his body. Unfortunately, the dragon blood was still too weak. With a single swipe of its claw, the infernal golden crow tore the dragon blood's body into two. Instantly, the dragon blood's spiritual power was destroyed. All that was left was pure energy, which was quickly devoured by the infernal golden crow. 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000. In the end, a total of 25,000 infernal golden crow cells were melted. So powerful. Xia Ping felt that his power was increasing rapidly. His infernal golden crow physique seemed to be twice as strong as before. A huge amount of infernal golden crow energy surged out from the depths of his body and tempered his body. Chapter 1286. As expected of the Dragon Crystal, the effect is too good. Xiaoping clenched his fists. Compared to before he took the Dragon Crystal, his physique was more than twice as strong as before. He felt that he could crush mountains and flatten rivers with just his physique alone. This was the body of a true divine beast. The blood in his body flowed like lava, and from time to time, flames emerged, forming the shadows of golden crows. There seemed to be many small suns living in his acupoints. If I get more dragon crystals, there might be hope to help me step into the artifact refinement realm and comprehend the supreme power of the formation of heaven and earth. Xiaoping's eyes lit up. He felt that these dragon crystals could not only make his hell golden crow physique stronger and evolve his bloodline, but also enhance his magic power and help him break through to a higher realm. There were simply endless benefits. However, ordinary dragonman cities might not have many such dragon crystals. It was estimated that only the main city of the dragonmen, Dragon God City, could have a large number of dragon crystals. Beep. At this time, the system's voice suddenly sounded, "Congratulations, host, for attracting a large amount of hatred from the dragonmen. This time, you have a total of 500 million hatred points. I hope you will continue to work hard." Xiaoping touched his chin. It seemed that this time, not only did he get the dragon crystals, but he also gained a lot of hatred from the dragonmen. Now he had 5 billion hatred points. This was one step closer to the 10 billion hatred point mark. I have a good understanding of this world. The next step is to find Yu Chi-Chi and the others. Xiaoping's eyes flickered. He did not forget that his purpose of coming to the True Dragon Nest this time was to find Yu Chi-Chi, Su Ji, Jiangyaru, and Chu Rong. It was just that he did not look for them before, because he was worried that he would encounter some unexpected danger in the True Dragon Nest. He wanted to avoid provoking the big shots in the True Dragon Nest and suffering a disaster. But now he had a good understanding of this continent and knew that the true dragon had long disappeared from this continent. There was almost no trace of it for tens of thousands of years. And the strongest person was no more than the artifact refinement realm. With his current strength, he did not fear the strongest person in this world, so he was not worried that he would encounter any danger. But this dragon god continent was so vast that it was no less than the cloud realm. Moreover, it was a random teleportation, so no one knew where Yu Chi-Chi and the others had been teleported to. Just then, the system's voice sounded. "Host, you can spend 10 million hatred points to find the whereabouts of Yu Chi-Chi and the others." "What? How can you do that?" Xiaoping raised his brows. He had not expected that the system would be able to help him search for people. Initially, he had thought that he could borrow the strength of the human race in this world to help him search for Yu Chi-Chi and the others. "There is nothing the system can't do," the system said in a mechanical voice. Xiaoping thought about it and immediately said, "Okay, spend 10 million hate points." "Yes, host." Immediately, a stream of information came from the depths of the system and flowed into Xiaoping's mind. Huh. Xiaoping closed his eyes. He sensed that he seemed to have followed a mysterious power into the river of destiny, traversing across the entire Dragon God continent and arriving at a certain majestic city. That was the sacred land of the dragon human race, Dragon God City. In the deepest part of the city, there was a boundless forbidden area. Legend had it that it was the temporary imperial residence of the dragon god, and it was filled with powerful restrictions. Even the strongest of the dragon human race would not be able to approach it. The forbidden area was surrounded by densely packed restrictions, causing one's scalp to go numb. But this kind of restriction power could not stop the detection of the system. It easily broke through and penetrated in. He immediately saw a huge and majestic palace in the depths of the forbidden area. It was resplendent and entirely made of gold. And in the deepest part of this palace, 4 women appeared. They were Yu Chi-Chi, Chu Rong, Jiangyaru, and Su Ji. They were currently staying in the depths of the palace to cultivate. Their bodies exuded a powerful aura. They had actually advanced to the late stage of the Purple Mansion realm and had stepped into the inhuman realm. They actually improved so quickly and advanced to the Purple Mansion realm. Xiao Ping raised his brows. He sensed the forbidden area and found that there were many secret places in the depths of the Dragon God's palace. There were gardens with a large number of spirit herbs, study rooms, refining rooms, and so on. There was even a huge hot spring, but it was not an ordinary hot spring. It was the dragon blood hot spring, which seemed to be left behind by the true dragon that once lived here. It was estimated that Chi and the others had been bathed in the dragon blood and consumed a large number of precious spirit herbs in this herb garden that allowed them to improve so quickly and advance by leaps and bounds to the Purple Mansion realm. Moreover, because of the tempering of the dragon blood, it had stimulated the potential in their bodies. Their aptitude was several times better than before, and they had already reached the level of peerless geniuses. But success was due to Xiao He, and failure was due to Xiao He. Because this was the Dragon God forbidden area, they could cultivate in peace in this place without worrying about being disturbed by others. But because the forbidden area's restriction array was too terrifying, they did not have the strength to leave this place. They could only cultivate in this place, which was equivalent to being imprisoned. But fortunately, they could not come out. Otherwise, once they stepped into the headquarters of the dragon human race, they would definitely be slapped to death by the furious dragon human race emperors. Ha! At this moment, the image was immediately cut off. The system's mysterious power disappeared, and Xiao Ping recovered. They actually ran into the Dragon God forbidden area. Xiao Ping was speechless. The difference between people was too big. He had unintentionally fallen into a desolate forest where even birds would not shit, and there were savage beasts everywhere. But Chi and the others had fallen into the Dragon God forbidden area. There were all kinds of spirit herbs, precious herbs, and even dragon blood. They enjoyed endless benefits and easily stepped into the Purple Mansion realm. It seems that to save Chi and the others, I have to enter the headquarters of the dragon human race, Dragon God City. Through the image, Xiao Ping knew that the Dragon God forbidden area was in the deepest part of Dragon God City. Apart from entering Dragon God City, there was no other way. That's good. I have to see how strong the Emperor-class experts of this world are. Xiao Ping clenched his fists, his fighting spirit boundless. He had advanced to the late stage of the divine realm, consumed a large number of dragon crystals, and awakened a large number of infernal golden crow bloodlines. He did not know how much stronger he had become. Even if he faced a cultivator of the treasure refinement realm, he was not afraid. Even if the other party had many powerful secret treasures, he still had the Saint-class flying ship, Stars. He could escape at any time, and there was no need to worry. Moreover, if he wanted to step into the artifact refinement realm, he would need to fight even more powerhouses. Divine realm cultivators could no longer give him much pressure, and only artifact refinement realm cultivators could fight him. At this thought, he immediately stepped out of the room, intending to head to Dragon God City. Xia, Chapter 1287. Holy City. Xiao Ping raised his eyebrows. He knew that the Holy City was the headquarters of the human race in this world, and that there were many experts there, including 3 Emperor-level experts. If it was before, he might have been interested in meeting them, but now that he knew the whereabouts of Chi and the others, he did not want to waste any more time in this place. Next time, I still have something to do. Xiao Ping waved his hand. Something to do? What are you going to do? Bai Lihu asked curiously. Xiao Ping smiled. To Dragon God City. What? Bai Lihu was completely dumbfounded. To Dragon God City? That was the headquarters of the dragon human race and was even more heavily guarded than the Holy City. There were also 6 dragon human emperors standing guard, and their strength was terrifying beyond compare. Wasn't Xiao Ping courting death by going there? But before he could say anything, Xiao Ping rose into the air and quickly left the city lord's residence. The guards of Bai Lihu also saw this scene, but when they saw that it was the hero of the human race, they did not say anything. All of them puffed out their chests and watched Xiao Ping leave with great respect. Several days later, Dragonhorn City was a huge city on the outskirts of Dragon God City, the main city of the dragon human race. It was known as the gateway to Dragon God City and was equivalent to a fortress that would never fall. The only way to invade Dragon God City was to capture Dragonhorn City. But for tens of thousands of years, Dragonhorn City had never been breached, let alone invaded Dragon God City. It was also because Dragonhorn City was so important that it was incomparably prosperous. After tens of thousands of years, it had become the economic center of the dragon human race and was incomparably prosperous. At this moment, on a main road 100 kilometers away from Dragonhorn City, a troop of dragon human army was slowly walking over. There were more than 1,000 of them, and they were fully armed. Behind them were tens of thousands of human slaves. They were all captured because the dragon human army had breached the human city. At this moment, these human slaves were all tied up in steel shackles. There were men and women, old and young, but all of them were emaciated and weak. It was obvious that they had been starving for many days. Their eyes were lifeless, and they had already lost all hope for this world. We're almost at Dragonhorn City. You slaves, hurry up and leave. If you're one step slower, I'll break your legs, a dragonborn general shouted, urging these human slaves to hurry up. No, I can't. I've been walking for 3 days and 3 nights, and I still haven't touched a single drop of water. I can't walk anymore. With a thud, some of the human slaves could no longer stand the continuous running and immediately fell to the ground. Bang! As soon as the human slaves fell to the ground, a draconid soldier beside them whipped out his whip and lashed it at them, cursing, "Bunch of human dogs, *T, you've only walked a few steps and eaten for a few days, and you're already babbling and pretending you can't walk. You're all lazy bones, and if you can't walk, I'll beat you until you do." He lashed out again and again, lashing the human slaves on the ground until their skin and flesh burst open. They were drenched in blood and screamed miserably until they quickly got up from the ground. However, there were also some human slaves who could not withstand the scorching sun because they were too hungry and immediately fell to the ground. Their necks were crooked and they could no longer get up. Evidently, they had completely stopped breathing. Pretending to be dead? Why the hell are you still pretending to be dead? Get up immediately. You humans can only be slaves to the dragon human race. Other than being slaves, what other value do you have? The draconid soldier cursed and continued to whip the human corpse vigorously. He only stopped when the corpse was almost torn to pieces. He's really dead. You've really lucked out. The draconid soldier realized that the human was not getting up even after he had whipped so many times, so he was clearly as dead as he could be. However, he did not care. In any case, there were tens of thousands of human slaves here, and the death of a few was nothing. Bastard! Many of the human slaves clenched their fists and gritted their teeth. There was a ball of anger surging in their chests, and they immediately felt a sense of sympathy when they saw one of their human companions die. Once they entered Dragonhorn City, their lives would be over and they would never be able to escape. They would be ordered around by the dragon human race as slaves for the rest of their lives. However, they also knew that the dragon human race was too powerful and they were no match for them. Even the human cities had been easily breached by the dragon human army. Now that they were unarmed, how could they be a match for the dragon human race? Forget it, don't beat them to death. These are the Lord's precious goods and will be sold for a high price in the future. If you beat them to death and cause the Lord to lose a lot of money, I'm afraid you'll have to answer to that. A draconid captain spoke to stop the draconid soldiers. Yes, Captain. Many draconid soldiers immediately obeyed the order. Although they did not care about the lives of these human slaves, they were still quite fearful of the dragon human noble. After all, he controlled their lives. If they angered the dragon human noble, they would probably have to bear the consequences. But Captain, is the recent news true? It said that the dragon human army attacked a human city and suffered heavy losses. 100 dragon human kings were all killed, and millions of elites were slaughtered by the human army. A draconid soldier asked curiously. This matter was too big and could not be hidden at all. All living beings on the dragon god continent knew about it. Even soldiers like them had learned a lot of news, so this made them hate the humans even more. They vented their anger at the loss of the dragon human race's kings on these human slaves. It's true. The draconid captain nodded. I've heard some nobles talk about this. It's said that a human king has appeared. His combat strength is tyrannical and comparable to a great emperor. His name is Xiaoping. He's the one who killed 100 draconian kings alone. What? A draconid soldier said in shock. Is the human race going to have a fourth great emperor? The dragon human race currently had the advantage. They had 6 great emperors while the human race only had 3. If there was one more, the gap between the human race and the dragon human race would not be so big. Perhaps, in time, the human race would have a 5th or 6th great emperor. If that was the case, how could the dragon human race dominate the dragon god continent? The many human slaves were secretly excited and overjoyed when they heard this. Although they had become prisoners, they were still extremely excited to hear that so many dragon human kings had been killed. They felt that they had avenged their great hatred. Don't worry, the draconid captain sneered. This matter has already angered the great emperor. He has issued a kill order for the dragon human race. Even the great emperor will take action personally to strangle this scourge in the cradle. I reckon that it won't be long before this human Xiaoping is dead. He wants to have a 4th great emperor? Dream on. Chapter 1288. Hearing this, a middle-aged human snorted. So what if the dragon men are to be killed? Lord Xia's battle prowess is comparable to that of a great emperor. How can you dragon men possibly kill him? Moreover, Lord Xia has such battle prowess as a king. Once he ascends to the great emperor realm, so what if he's the dragon man emperor? He'll be slaughtered like a pig. He straightened his back like a spear, his eyes cold. Bastard human, you're courting death. Hearing this, a dragon man soldier flew into a rage. How dare someone insult their great emperor? Wasn't he courting death? Immediately, a few dragon men wanted to step forward and teach this middle-aged man a lesson. Wait. A dragon man general waved his hand to stop his subordinates. Riding a savage beast, he looked down at the shackled middle-aged man with indifference. Gong Sanyang. The dragon man general stared coldly at the middle-aged man who had spoken. This was a human king, Gong Sanyang, the general of Gongsun City, which they had conquered. He was supposed to die on the battlefield, but unfortunately, he was seriously injured and fainted. As a result, he was captured by the Dragon Man King and was now a prisoner. Do you think a puny human can shake the rule of the great emperor? What a joke. The Dragon Man general sneered. Let's not talk about how powerful the 6 great emperors of the Dragon Men are. Let's talk about the oldest great emperor, Caesar. He has lived for 5,000 years and has yet to meet a worthy opponent. Even if the 3 great emperors of the human race work together, they would still be no match for him. So what if a mere human ascends to the great emperor realm? His disdain for Xiaoping was obvious. In that case, what are you afraid of? Why did you issue the dragon men to be killed? Aren't you trying to cover things up? Gong Sanyang sneered. He had seen through the dragon men's hypocrisy. Many dragon men glared at Gong Sanyang, wanting to eat him alive. They were instantly infuriated. There seems to be a human up ahead. Suddenly, a dragon man soldier called out. He looked over and immediately saw a figure slowly approaching from afar, walking along the main road. This figure was clearly a human, for there were no dragon man characteristics on his body. Why are there humans in this place? Many dragonborn soldiers were puzzled because this was the territory of the dragonborn race. Basically, only dragonborn could appear here. There was only one possibility for humans to appear here. They were slaves. Could it be a human slave who got separated from his master? One of the dragon human soldiers guessed. However, a dragonborn soldier immediately retorted, "No, that's not right. If he's a human slave, he should be shackled and shouldn't be able to move freely. Otherwise, he would be violating the laws of the dragonborn. Which dragonborn would dare to do such an illegal thing so brazenly?" In the territory ruled by the dragon human race, all human slaves had to wear shackles, collars, and other things. Otherwise, they would be violating the laws of the dragon human race and would be severely punished. There were basically no human slaves without any shackles on their bodies. Stop! Immediately, a group of dragonoid soldiers rushed forward with spears in their hands. Murderous intent surged from their bodies. and they quickly surrounded this human who had suddenly appeared near Dragonhorn City. They were ready for battle. Clearly, they could sense that this human's appearance in this place was not normal. "Who are you? Why have you appeared in this place?" The Dragonborn general bellowed as he stared fixedly at this unfamiliar human. Not only the Dragonborn, but the other human slaves present also stared at this human who had suddenly appeared in surprise. "My name is Xiaoping." Xiaoping introduced himself. "I'm looking for Dragon God City. May I ask if it's in this direction?" He had left 100 Kilometers City and walked for several days before he finally arrived at this place. Xiaoping, Dragon God City. Hearing these two words immediately agitated the Dragonborn soldiers and human slaves present. All of them widened their eyes and stared fixedly at Xiaoping. This was because this name had been so well known recently that it had reached the level where everyone knew about it. Xiaoping of the human race. Immediately, the Dragonborn general jumped in shock and subconsciously retreated dozens of meters as he stared fixedly at Xiaoping. That's right, the portrait on the wanted poster looks exactly like him. Really? Why would Xiaoping of the human race appear near Dragonhorn City? Judging from his words, it seems like he's looking for Dragon God City. What kind of joke is this? What does a human race expert with battle prowess comparable to a great emperor want to do in Dragon God City? Could this be a conspiracy of the human race? Immediately, many Dragonborn soldiers quickly retreated in panic. This was because Xiaoping's previous battle achievements were still vivid in their minds. He had annihilated hundreds of Dragonborn kings. To the Dragonborn race, he was like a great demon king. Now that such a demon king had appeared in front of them, how could they not panic? Even the Dragonborn kings were no match for him. So what else could these useless soldiers and crab generals do? The many human slaves were also dumbfounded. They did not know why this human race hero would suddenly come to Dragonhorn City, the great source of the Dragonborn race. This was too strange. Did he come to court death? Kill. Without another word, the Dragonborn general shouted. He made a prompt decision and immediately issued an order for the surrounding Dragonborn soldiers to surround and kill Xiaoping. Although they were afraid of Xiaoping's battle achievements, they would never retreat when they saw a human invading the territory of the Dragonborn. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Among them were 3 Dragonborn generals and thousands of elite Dragonborn soldiers. They immediately abandoned the human slaves around them and wielded sharp blades in their hands, forming a majestic battle formation. It seems that none of you Dragonborn know how to talk nicely. Xiaoping sighed. He had encountered many Dragonborn soldiers along the way, but without exception, these Dragonborn attacked him ruthlessly and wanted to take his life. The difference in strength between the human race and the Dragonborn was huge. It was like a sheep and a lion. To the lion, the sheep was nothing but food. What right did the sheep have to be on equal footing with it and coexist on the prairie? Of course, he would not show mercy to such an enemy. He did not even look at them. He gently pointed a finger, and a terrifying magical power shot out. Oh no! The 3 Dragonborn generals' expressions changed drastically. They felt that this finger was extremely terrifying. It sealed the heavens and the earth and locked all their auras. No matter where they fled to, they could not escape the attack of this finger. Boom! Chapter 1289. Lord Commander. Many dragonmen soldiers were scared out of their wits, and their bodies were trembling. Those were king-level dragonmen. Although they were not powerful king-level experts, they were still king-level experts, second only to the emperor-level experts. Each of them was equivalent to a feudal lord in the Dragon God continent. Usually, the death of one of them would be a big deal. But now, 3 of them had been killed in an instant. They had died a more pathetic death than weeds. Hurry up, go to Dragonhorn City, and ask for reinforcements. Human experts are invading. Human experts are invading. A dragonoid captain shouted loudly and immediately sent out a distress signal, asking for help from the king-level warriors of Dragonhorn City. He knew that the 3 king-level commanders had been killed in an instant. Even if the dragonoid soldiers banded together, they would not be a match for this human. Their only role was to stall for time and wait for the king-level warriors of Dragonhorn City to come out. Other than that, they had no other way. Too powerful. It's really Lord Xia. Gong Sun Yang and the other humans were also dumbfounded. Their names might be the same, but their strength could not be faked. Who else could kill 3 king-level dragonoid experts in an instant except for the legendary Xiaoping? Let's go. Facing the charge of thousands of dragonoid soldiers, Xiaoping's magic power burst out, and he threw a palm at the void. Martial arts magic. Great yin-yang tablet-breaking palm. In the void, a big black and white hand appeared immediately, covering the sky and the sun. It was 2 to 3 kilometers long, and the yin and yang airflows merged together to form a giant millstone. And this millstone crushed down from midair, carrying a terrifying power that could destroy everything. Dong! It was only a palm, but it was as if the sky and the earth had collided. Immediately, thousands of dragonoid soldiers, together with the wild beasts they were riding, were immediately smashed into meat pies, sinking deep into the ground. There was even a huge palm print on the ground that was 5 kilometers long. Numerous cracks appeared on the ground, densely packed and extending to who knew how far. The cracks were like abysses. Stones fell into them, but there was no sound for a long time. It was as if the power of the palm had penetrated the earth. And the power of this palm was simply amazing. Except for the dragonoid soldiers, the other human slaves were all unscathed. The power of the palm was perfectly controlled, without any leakage. Oh my god, he's too powerful. He killed over 1,000 Dragonman soldiers with a single palm strike and turned them into meat pies. A human slave was so scared that his face turned pale. When had he ever seen such a powerful king? Perhaps only the legendary great martial emperors could compare to him. It's too violent. Thousands of Dragonman soldiers can't escape even if they want to. Many human slaves shuddered. No one knew better than them how much combat power these Dragonoid soldiers possessed. These Dragonoid soldiers were all elites with powerful battle prowess. One of them could take on 3 human warriors of the same level. Moreover, they were in groups. The power of a single charge was enough to defeat an army of 10,000. Killing human warriors was like mowing grass. They were simply invincible. There was a saying that if the Dragonians did not exceed 10,000, then they would be invincible. This was enough to prove the strength of the Dragonians. They were indeed the overlords of this world, occupying more than 70% of the land. However, such a tyrannical army was actually slapped to death by Xiaoping with a single palm, becoming a meat pie. No matter how imaginative they could never have imagined that such a thing would happen. As expected of the legendary hero of the human race, his strength is not fake. In the distance, Gong Sun Yang looked at Xiaoping with reverence, as if he was looking at his idol. With such invincible strength, he indeed had the bearing of a great emperor. Is Dragonhorn City in front? After slapping these Dragonoid soldiers to death, Xiaoping directly came before Gong Sun Yang. He could sense that Gong Sun Yang was at least in the middle stage of the immortal realm. He was the strongest among this group of human slaves. He believed that he would definitely get the answer he wanted to know by asking this person. That's right, Dragonhorn City is in front. It's the gateway city of Dragon God City. If you want to enter Dragon God City, you must first enter Dragonhorn City. Hearing Xiaoping's question, Gong Sun Yang told him all the information he knew. That's great. Looks like I didn't go the wrong way. Xiaoping nodded. My lord, what do you want to do in Dragon God City? Gong Sun Yang asked subconsciously after some thought. Xiaoping stood with his hands clasped behind his back. Nothing much. I just want to spar with the Dragon People's great emperor and see if he lives up to his reputation. What? Hearing this, not only Gong Sun Yang, but the human slaves beside him were also stunned. They had thought of various reasons why Xiaoping had come here, including wanting to rescue a large number of human slaves, sabotage the enemy's operation, or some secret mission. But they never thought that Xiaoping wanted to enter Dragon God City and spar with the Dragon People's great emperor. If Xiaoping wasn't a hero of the human race, they would definitely think that there was something wrong with his head and that he had gone completely mad. What kind of place was Dragon God City? It was the headquarters of the Dragon God clan, and had 6 emperor-level experts as well as countless dragonoid kings. Entering this place was no different from seeking death. Xiaoping suddenly attacked. He lightly pressed down with his palm, and a terrifying power enveloped the nearby humans. Dong! Immediately, Gong Sunyang and the others felt their bodies tremble lightly. The various steel shackles on their bodies shattered and fell to the ground. They finally regained their freedom and were instantly overjoyed. All right, now that you're free, you should leave this place immediately. Xiaoping waved his hand and said to Gong Sunyang and the others, "Of course, this is the territory of the dragonoid race, and there may be pursuers from the dragonoid race everywhere. Whether you can survive or not depends on you. My lord, don't worry. My lord saved us from the dragonoid race, so we naturally know how to escape. Yes, if the dragonoid soldiers catch up to us, then we can only blame our bad luck. But is my lord really going to Dragon God City? That's a dangerous place." Gong Sunyang and the others clenched their fists, but they still looked at Xiaoping worriedly. Whoosh! Xiaoping did not say anything and turned to leave. The group was stunned. Forget it. My lord has his own plans, and it's not up to us to interfere. Let's think about how to escape from the dragonoid race's territory. This is a difficult mission. Gong Sunyang looked at the crowd. Yes, Lord Gong Sunyang. The crowd nodded. At this time, in the city lord's residence of Dragon Horn City, a banquet was being held. At this moment, a large number of dragonoid kings had gathered. They had been summoned by City Lord Bardic to discuss the Dragonoid Must-Kill Order, which was a major event that would affect the entire dragonoid race.